Chapter 744, Surrounded. Chapter 744, Surrounded. Looking at Vice Sect leader Chi, everyone jumped up in excitement. Wasn't he practically flying? He was really flying. With him being able to fly over such a long distance, one could see that Vice Sect leader Chi was very powerful. Every step of progress was very hard to make at the latter stages of ancient martial arts. And flying, or extensive gliding to be exact, could only be done at the Great Heaven Tertiary stage. If such a master attacked with fury, everyone could imagine what would happen to Yi Mo and Mu Xiaoyun. Yi Mo just sneered. He knew this couldn't be true flying, because first of all, there were air restrictions there. Even he couldn't fly. Vice Sect leader Qi was at most gliding a bit. He was also going from high to low, so the distance he glided ended up being a bit reasonable. But this gliding was still even worse than Yi Mo's wind control. Meanwhile, Qi Kai was furious. He regretted not attacking immediately and causing Yuan Chong's death. His fury was at its peak. After gliding for a while, he landed on the stage and immediately calmed himself down. He knew this person was no ordinary person and perhaps even quite scary. Without fighting, Qi Kai already knew his opponent was no weaker than him. Yuan Chong was unable to be brought back to life anymore, so what mattered most was how to kill this young man. Yi Mo didn't even look at Qi Kai. Although he was strong, Yi Mo knew he wasn't the strongest guy there. For instance, he was weaker than the three masters he saw at Hang Shui. Yi Mo thought that since he was attacking them there might be a round of carnage later on. He might even have to face many masters ganging up on him. He wasn't afraid of the Great Heaven Masters ganging up on him, but he was worried about Mu Xiaoyun. If Mu Xiaoyun wasn't there, he could slaughter all he wanted, but since Mu Xiaoyun was there, he needed to protect her, which would keep him from unleashing his full power. Yi Mo didn't know why Mu Xiaoyun was still stage 3 after cultivating for 4 years. With her talent, she should be at least stage 5 or even 6. Although Yi Mo really wanted to send Mu Xiaoyun away right now, he knew there were a few hidden powers lurking. If he moved, they would come stop him. One of them was the one who appeared in Hang Shui. Elder Jin saw Vice Sect leader Qi come up himself, so he immediately stood on the side. He was worried that Yi Mo might try to suddenly run away. When Qi Kai got on the stage, he calmed down and didn't attack immediately. He stared at Yi Mo for a long time. Even if Mu Xiaoyun is your woman, you could have just taken her away. Why did you kill a Tai sect core disciple? Qi Kai questioned coldly. Yi Mo looked up in shock. He thought this Vice Sect leader would attack him straight away, but the man had calmed down instead. Yi Mo was seeking revenge against Tai, so he wasn't going to have a polite chat with Qi Kai, but he still had to explain his purpose for killing. He suddenly raised the shield-shaped jade card and crushed it to powder. Qi Kai's face went green. Seeing Qi Kai still just looking coldly at him, Yi Mo felt that this Vice Sect leader Qi was quite collected. He pulled Mu Xiaoyun behind him and said coldly, "A few years ago, Yuan Chong and someone else went to the outside and almost killed a woman in Ninghai. He made that woman lose a year of her memory too." Hearing this, Qi Kai's face changed drastically as though he'd remembered something. Yi Mo kept talking coldly, "That woman happened to be my wife. At that moment I swore that no matter who it was that almost killed my wife, I would annihilate him in this lifetime." Qi Kai's face changed drastically, and he asked after a long time, "You made that necklace she had? She didn't die thanks to it." Yi Mo sneered, "Hearing you say that much, you must be the other person that went to Ninghai. This saves me quite some trouble. That necklace was a magic artifact I made, and if it wasn't for that, she would have long been dead indeed." Qi Kai took a deep breath. He wasn't that scared of Yi Mo at the start, but after knowing that Yi Mo made the necklace, he knew that he struck a hard enemy this time. He had been worrying about the person coming for revenge, and now he actually did. Qi Kai was a Great Heaven Master and the Vice Sect leader of a powerful sect. He knew a lot more secrets than most people. He knew that there was a way of cultivation countless times more powerful than ancient martial arts, but no one could cultivate it anymore. This person being so young yet so powerful meant that he might quite possibly be someone who cultivates that mystical cultivation method. If he attacked someone like this, he had to make sure to kill him completely. If Yi Mo got away, the Tai sect would be done for. This wasn't even about revenge anymore, it was about the survival of the Tai sect. Chi Kai knew that he might not be able to keep Yi Mo there. He was afraid that Yi Mo would get away. If all of the Tai masters were there and if the masters of a few more sects joined together, then they might be able to kill him. Meanwhile, Yi Mo just wanted to find a safe place to hide Mu Xiaoyun and start his carnage. Xiaoyun, let's go. Yi Mo didn't want to keep staying on the stage. Ha ha ha. You underestimate us hidden sects too much if you think you can come and go as you please. Another skinny old man landed on the stage. It's Kuan Qian's Ling Wuxue Qianbei, someone immediately muttered quietly. As Yi Mo looked at this old man, he immediately knew that he was much stronger than Chi Kai. This guy was the one lurking in the shadows. He couldn't see his power before, but now, Yi Mo could tell that the old man was a great Heaven Peak master. I know now. The one who killed Elder Ming and Wei Wu at Hangshui City must have been him. It was one man and one woman, both very young. Who did it? It must have been them. The fat elder Jin suddenly yelled. Ling Wuxue heard this and looked at Yi Mo and Mu Xiaoyun before nodding. That seems to have been the case. They even put the blame on Forgery Hall. You're quite the character, aren't you? More and more masters started appearing on the stage, and the masters of the Forgery Hall and the Gemini Sword sect all rushed up. Qi Yushin from the Gemini Sword sect glared at Yi Mo, wanting to eat him raw. His son had been killed and only today did he find the culprit. Yi Mo said to Mu Xiaoyun, Xiaoyun, I'm about to start a carnage here, so stay behind me and never leave me too far. Mu Xiaoyun nodded. Yi Mo squeezed her hand and said, Xiaoyun, don't worry. I was trapped in a place these last few years where I cultivated for the entire 4 years, so don't worry. Then, Yi Mo suddenly yelled, I, Yi Mo, have a feud with the Tai sect. I'm here today for revenge. All irrelevant people, please move aside. When I attack, everyone who hasn't moved away will be my enemy. After the battle, I will make sure to visit your sects one by one as well. Many people started retreating, not because they thought Yi Mo could win, but because they just had nothing to do with this. Ling Wuxue laughed and said coldly, I want to see how you're going to visit our sects. I'm Qian Kuan sect's great elder, Ling Wuxue. Don't forget to visit after you die. By the way, there's not only Qian Kuan sect here but also Tai and Ci Hangjing Mosque's great heaven masters are present. Ling Wushue's words aroused a fit of laughter. It was nothing but a pipe dream to think of running away from so many masters. Then, there was a sharp laughter. Yi Mo, it's you indeed, I finally caught you today. Chapter 745, Instant Kill Great Heaven. Chapter 745, Instant Kill Great Heaven. Yi Mo looked at the person who now also flew onto the stage, and his eyes went cold. It could be said that other than the young ancient martial artist, this was the person he wanted to kill the most in the small world. So it's you, Jie Zun, you witch. I wanted to find you too, how great. I remember your chest having 2 big balls of white, though, why are you restraining them now? Or did some old ancient martial artist do that? Yi Mo laughed. Little animal, you're asking to die. Jie Zun cursed every time she thought about how Yi Mo ripped off the clothes on her chest and made her lose the most precious thing. Jie Zun was about to attack immediately, but then she suddenly seemed to remember something and stopped. There were so many people there, yet they were all just surrounding Yi Mo without attacking. If she went up first, perhaps it would end up benefiting someone else instead. Yi Mo thought it was a shame. If Jie Zun came up, he could kill her first, but alas, she was too cunning. Everyone looked at Jie Zun after Yi Mo said that. Jie Zun had a strange quirk, she hated men. She never gave any man any face, so she had the title of Heartless Nun. Everyone looked strangely at Jie Zun now, because her reaction meant that what Yi Mo said might have some truth to it. Many people started thinking, this Yi Mo fellow having seen Jie Zun's chest naked, is there something between them? Jie Zun's face went pale with anger, but she still didn't go up. Even though there were so many people there, if they came up one by one, he wouldn't have to fear anyone. Even if they ganged up on him, he wouldn't care, but he would be worried about Mu Xiaoyun. This was why he hadn't attacked yet. Xiaoyun, while we fight, we'll retreat at the same time. As long as we retreat as far as 15 kilometers, I will be able to take you up and fly, Yi Mo said. Just when Yi Mo was about to attack, a cold voice sounded, "Martial Sister Jezun, why didn't you come back to the sect after going out for so long? And why has Luo Fei not come back from the outside?" Yi Mo looked at the person talking. It was another nun. He thought that since Ci Hang Jin Mosque had one master he couldn't see through before, and 4 other Great Heaven Masters, as well as many half-step Great Heaven Masters, if they were to leave, he would feel a lot less pressure. Jezun sneered, "Martial Sister Jezyan, I'm already Great Heaven. I stayed outside because of some business. As for the sect, I will go back after I'm done. Also, Martial Sister, you might not know, but those 3 Yi Mo heard this and knew Jezun wanted to spill the matter of the 3 pages of the Ni Luo Sutra. If she did, then these nuns would attack him like crazy." Thinking about this, Yi Mo yelled, "Jezun, you wretched woman. You wouldn't even let go of the disciples in your own sect. You killed Luo Yin and forced Luo Fei to jump off a cliff. You animal. They knew that you were involved in some shady stuff, and now they've all been killed by you. Jezun, did you kill my disciples Luo Yin and Luo Xian?" A pretty middle-aged nun heard this and glared. Then, she pulled out her sword and attacked Jezun. Jezun cursed that Yi Mo for interrupting her. She blocked the sword with her horsetail whisk and pointed at Yi Mo. "And you killed that Qi Yulin from Kuan Chen, didn't you? Can you deny that? The 3 scrolls of the Ni Luo Sutra are also on you. Do you want to deny that too?" Yi Mo had already retreated to the edge of the stage with Mu Xiaoyun, while out of his flying sword appeared countless sword rays forming a barrier around them. At the same time, he shot out a bunch of fireballs as well. The warriors on the side of the stage were caught off guard. It all happened too quickly. But as soon as Yi Mo got off, 2 strong fist winds sealed his path. If it was just him alone, he could dodge it, but he was with Mu Xiaoyun. Such powerful fist winds. Yi Mo knew that this wasn't the attacker's full power either. It was Ling Wuxurei and the ancient martial artist from Taiyi who just got there. The latter seemed to be even stronger than Ling Wuxurei. Yi Mo's flying sword quickly clashed with the fist winds. Bang! The force shattered even the nearby rocks. Yi Mo stood still on the spot, while the 2 Great Heaven Peak warriors took 2 steps back. So strong. Yi Mo sighed. These 2 were as strong as Kai-gathering peak cultivators. If it wasn't for his 3 birth chant, it would be impossible to stop them with a Kai-gathering stage 7 cultivation, but even now, he couldn't get the upper hand. It seemed it had been the right decision of him not to go to Taiyi as soon as he arrived. That would have been suicide. The difference between Great Heaven Primary Stage and Great Heaven Peak was this huge. It really shocked Yi Mo. But his 2 opponents were even more in shock. They had never thought that there would be someone able to block both of their attacks simultaneously, even slightly taking the upper hand. Moreover, this young man had someone he was protecting beside him. Although they hadn't attacked with their full power, they had still used at least 70%. The 2 looked at each other and nodded. Yi Mo saw excitement in their eyes. They were interested in what he cultivated. By this time, more people had reached them. At this moment, the nun Jezyan ordered, "All disciples of Ci Hang Jin Mosque, listen. Come back immediately. Our main task is to bring Jezun back. Martial Sister Jezyan, we need you right now. Us 3 sects are allies, how can you?" That Taiyi sect old man immediately commented. Jezyan answered plainly, "Our sect has a traitor, so we need to settle that first." The Taiyi old man was at a loss for words. "You killed my nephew Yulin, little animal, die." A Great Heaven Master suddenly jumped up and pierced his sword towards Yi Mo with intense killing intent. It was a sneak attack, and the sword ray was already above Yi Mo's head. Yi Mo sneered, however. He had no intention of even avoiding the attack. The flying sword in his hand vibrated upon being filled with his cultivation essence and turned it into a many-meter-long white beam which hacked towards his opponent's sword. A screeching sound appeared, after which a vibrant red colored the sky. A body that was split in half fell on the ground right after. Then, blood rained down too. Ling Wuxurei's face was green. It had happened so fast that he couldn't even save a Great Heaven Master of his own sect. Chapter 746. Who surrounds? Who kills? Chapter 746. Who surrounds? Who kills? Everyone took a deep breath at that moment. What power was this? Qi Yushin had also wanted to ambush Yi Mo, but he shivered at the thought now. If he had gone up just then, it would be him laying on the ground now. This fellow was too strong. This person has gone crazy and is killing innocent members of our hidden sect. I, Ling Wuxue, in the name of the Qian Kuan sect, announce the highest killing order on Yi Mo. Every sect which helps us annihilate him will be seen as a friendly sect of ours and can get a great heaven pill. Ling Wuxue was shaking with anger, but he knew he wouldn't be able to kill Yi Mo by himself. The Tai sect old man also proclaimed, I, Len Quan, in the name of the Tai sect, agree with Brother Ling. We still have countless masters coming for support as we speak, so no matter how strong this man is, he will die for sure. It is a matter of great importance for the hidden sects to hunt this man down. All those sects who leave and don't want to contribute to the hidden sects can prepare to suffer the consequences. The Tai old man was resorting to threats. Ha ha ha. A laugh of derision sounded, and an old woman flew over. Yi Mo recognized the woman. It was Grandma Feng from Ice Lake. She glanced at Yi Mo and nodded. I didn't think there would come a time when my sight failed me. Not only are you a high-level herbal doctor but also a great Heaven Peak master. Elder Feng, your sect is also one of the hidden sects. This person is rampaging among the hidden sects, so for the survival of the hidden sects, I hope you can help us kill him. After this, I can promise Ice Lake will reach the 2nd grade, Len Quan said. Elder Feng looked at Len Quan in contempt. Len, stop using wicked rhetorics to trick me. I feel disgusted. The reason why Ice Lake became a 3rd grade sect was all because of Tai in the first place. Elder Feng also looked at Ling Wuxue and said, and your Kuan Qian sect, you're all the same. Schemes and shenanigans. Ice Lake will not join this hunt. What will you do about it? Mu Xiaoyun is our Ice Lake's disciple after all, but even if she weren't, I can still leave whenever I want. Len Quan's face looked bad, but Ling Wuxue actually calmed down quickly and just looked at Elder Feng coldly. Elder Feng then turned and said to Yi Mo, I know that you're a master, and even someone like me can't tell how strong you are, but no matter how strong you are, you can't be sure you will be able to protect Mu Xiaoyun from this many masters. She's my disciple, so if you can trust me, let me take her and then you can focus on these fellows. How about it? Elder Feng, you're crossing the line, Len Quan yelled. But Elder Feng turned around and said, how? Is there anything wrong in me taking away my sect's disciple? If you don't agree, fight me. Alright, go on then, but I don't want you to intervene in this any more than this. Otherwise, HMPH. Ling Wuxue harumphed. He knew clearly that even with Mu Xiaoyun there, it would at most make Yi Mo a little concerned. On the other hand, if Mu Xiaoyun was killed, Elder Feng would be on Yi Mo's side instead. Elder Feng seemed to have known it would be this way already, so she had turned to Yi Mo and was waiting for his reply. Yi Mo frowned. It would indeed be the best decision to give Mu Xiaoyun to a master like this woman, but Yi Mo felt like the old woman wasn't simple. She wasn't just saving Mu Xiaoyun because she was an Ice Lake disciple. This was just Yi Mo's subconscious feeling though. But if he didn't give Mu Xiaoyun to her, Mu Xiaoyun would be in a tougher situation. Husband, I will go with Elder Feng. After you're done here, you can come find me. And if you don't make it back, I will accompany you. Mu Xiaoyun said. Yi Mo sighed, okay, Xiaoyun, leave with Elder Feng. But don't worry, I will definitely come back to find you in Ice Lake. These people are no threat to me, so you just need to wait for me. Yi Mo suddenly took out an aromatic pill and gave it to Elder Feng. Elder Feng, this is a top-grade medical pill which I made using many precious herbs. It can cure your wound. This is my thanks for taking care of Xiaoyun. Elder Feng rejoiced and immediately ate it without even looking at it. The pill melted in her mouth within seconds, and she suddenly felt her wounds start to recover already. Yi Mo was a powerful herbal doctor indeed. What a good pill indeed. It's already melting in my mouth and doing my wounds very good. Many decade-old wounds were being cured right then and there. Elder Feng was overjoyed. Yi Mo smiled, you're caring for Xiaoyun well, so you deserve it. This pill is called the Knowing Will pill. Although it smells a bit bad, it's good for internal injuries. I found the herbs in Wu Wen Mountain a few years ago. It can cure any internal injury, but it will take a day if you don't use your power to digest it. Mu Xiaoyun felt a bit strange about this. She knew that her husband had a pill called the Lotus Life Pill that immediately removed all internal injuries. Xiaoyun, I've left some things with you. You need to cultivate it quickly, okay? Yi Mo had put the jade slip of the primordial fortune chant and a lot of pills in her ring already. Mu Xiaoyun regretted not cultivating properly now. If she hadn't spent all her time waiting for her husband, perhaps she would be stage 5 already. Yi Mo nodded. Hold on, I'll make one more thing for you. Yi Mo took out some ores and some pills, and with a few spins, they became a bracelet. Yi Mo put it on her and said softly, "This bracelet means that I'm always by your side, don't take it off." Mu Xiaoyun agreed obediently. Everyone saw Yi Mo casually create fire from nothing and make a bracelet in front of them and opened their mouth wide open in shock. Len Quan and Ling Wushurei's eyes couldn't stop flickering either. Seeing Mu Xiaoyun and Elder Feng leave, Yi Mo then turned to Len Quan and Ling Wushurei. "Alright, since you guys want to die, don't blame me. I will now turn this place into a bloodbath." Yi Mo then released his killing intent, and it almost materialized, making many people shiver subconsciously. "Wait, All Heaven Sect, leave. This thing has nothing to do with our All Heaven Sect," a voice sounded, and the All Heaven Sect disciples all left. "Master, Yi Mo is also called Mo Ying, that friend of mine. Although I know I can't help him, I don't want our Shu Mountain Sword Sect to attack him." As another voice sounded, Yi Mo saw Liu Lei and nodded. He didn't care if the Shu Mountain Sword Sect left or not, but Liu Lei being just an inner sect member and still daring to say this meant that he was a loyal friend indeed. Many sects actually wanted nothing more than an excuse to leave, so now that Liu Lei said this, the Shu Mountain Sword Sect's elder immediately announced that they would be leaving as well. Many other sects started to leave too. Seeing more and more people leave, Len Quan roared in rage, "Kill him together, now." Then, Ling Wushuei and him both charged ahead. Qi Kai also charged along. The remaining people under the Tai, Kuan Qian, and Gemini Sword Sect and of the Forgery Hall all charged towards Yi Mo. In that instant, countless projectiles, Sword Kai and Fist Kai all came hurling towards Yi Mo. Chapter 747, First Wave of Battle. Chapter 747, First Wave of Battle. Yi Mo rejoiced that he had sent Mu Xiaoyun away. If she were still there, he would only be able to choose a direction in which to keep running and go, but with Len Quan and Ling Wushuei, he wouldn't even be able to run that far. But of course Yi Mo didn't want to run. They wanted his life, so they had to pay with their own. Yi Mo's spirit sense had gotten so strong that under his control, his flying sword could fly all over the place like there was no one there. While it did, he took out another 2-meter-long sword and dashed into the crowd. Many people were dazed, they didn't know where the long sword in Yi Mo's hand appeared from. Despite Yi Mo's strong spirit sense and his cultivating essence-filled sword swooping away all the weapons targeting him, there were still one or two that hit him. But Yi Mo did more damage. He knew that it would be impossible to kill Len Quan and Ling Wushuei in a short time, so he could only kill the rest while avoiding Ling Wushuei and Len Quan. With blood being shed and sword rays clashing, a few half-step Great Heaven cultivators' heads were sliced off by Yi Mo's longsword and smashed into the ground. Soon, more than 30 ancient martial artists lay dead on the ground while Yi Mo had also incurred a few wounds. Len Quan and Ling Wushuei realized that this battle wasn't going well for either side, so they immediately blocked Yi Mo, stopping his sword from ravaging all those below Great Heaven. With their help, the situation soon finally stabilized. Len Quan, Ling Wushuei, Qi Kai, and another 16 Great Heaven Masters surrounded Yi Mo, thus taking up all of his attention. Meanwhile, half-step Great Heaven cultivators tried to sneak attack from the side. The Earth levels had almost been slaughtered completely in that short while, so the remaining ones just retreated and sealed Yi Mo's escape route. Yi Mo sneered. So what if they did? He still had his flying sword. Kill. Len Quan roared and hacked down with his axe. Before Yi Mo's long sword could swoop up to counter it, Ling Wushuei used the perfect opportunity to pierce down his sword as well. Yi Mo sighed. How lucky these two didn't have spirit sense. If they did, Then he wouldn't be able to survive that easily. These two men's real fighting power was the same as any Kai gathering stage 9 cultivators, except for them not being able to use Dao magic and spirit sense. Yimo also knew that compared to the random attacks from before, this level-headed and planned way of attacking meant that he would be put under even greater pressure. Chi Kai yelled, "Sect leader Chi, Elder Jin, attack with me." He knew that after the first wave of attacks, Yimo had lost his momentum. He would lead the second wave to attack, and if the rest could understand Len Quan's intentions, there would be a third wave and a fourth wave too. Yimo had gotten injured already, but those were just superficial wounds. Now, however, he knew he would have to pay a bigger price. With his opponents forming this battle plan, no matter how strong his cultivation essence was, he wouldn't be able to last too long. Thinking about this, a curved sword suddenly appeared in Yimo's hand, and he threw it out immediately. Meanwhile, his long sword blocked Ling Wushui's piercing attack, which was the most threatening attack. Clank! The curved sword managed to block Len Quan's axe, and Len Quan was shook. This was the second time something had appeared in Yimo's hands out of nowhere. The moment Yimo's long sword clashed with Ling Wushui's sword, his hand shook a little. He was made to realize that this Ling Wushui's inner chi was very powerful. What shook him even more was that the curved sword he threw out was shattered by the axe. He had made that curved sword when he was bored, and it was a far cry from his flying sword, but that was still a magic artifact. Yimo didn't have time to think much on it though. He knew that now was the time to focus on killing. His spirit sense swooped his flying sword along, and it sliced at the backs of many half-step Great Heaven attackers. At the same time, he pulled his long sword back and then swung it towards Chi Kai. Ling Wushui applauded Yimo's reaction speed and measures. But seeing Yimo pull his sword away to attack Chi Kai, he was shook. Was Yimo asking to die? Thinking about this, Ling Wushui rejoiced and pierced with his sword again. Yimo wasn't asking to die, of course. The moment he hacked down on Chi Kai, he moved his flying sword and threw out more than 10 fireballs at the same time. Although his spirit sense would deplete quickly that way, Yimo couldn't care about it that much anymore. Crack! Chi Kai's sword broke, scaring him soulless. He wanted to retreat immediately, but a sword ray had already arrived at his forehead. So strong, this is his real power. Chi Kai's heart trembled as his mind fell into darkness. But Yimo didn't stop. He spun around and sliced out through Chi Kai's stomach towards Chi Yushin, cutting him in half at the waist. Splurge! At the same time, Ling Wushui's sword pierced into Yimo's ribs. Yimo didn't seem to know that he was injured, and his sword flew out of his hand. Howls of pain sounded, and the Great Heaven and half-step Great Heaven warriors that had been forced to huddle together by the fireballs were sliced into piles of meat. Then, Yimo waved his hand, and his flying sword came back into his hand. At the same time, he took a bunch of pills all at once. He didn't need to use his flying sword and long sword at the same time anymore. That tactic could only work once anyway. The rest of the people looked at Yimo in shock, not believing what had just happened. In that short span of time, only 11 out of the 16 Great Heaven Masters attacking him remained. The 20 or so half-step Great Heavens were all dead. Yimo, on the other hand, had only paid the price of a sword cut on his rib. One Great Heaven cultivator could no longer bear the massacre and bloody scene and ran away. Yimo sneered, and a curved sword suddenly appeared in his hand again. It howled in the wind and pierced into that Great Heaven Master's back. He still hadn't used his wind blades yet, but it wouldn't be useful to use them yet. If he used them suddenly instead, they would be a good surprise card. That Great Heaven Master, meanwhile, didn't die immediately. He was trembling on the ground as though in extreme fear. Yimo felt fatigue. He had used too much of his spirit sense and cultivation essence. It was lucky that he had the extreme essence pill to supply his energy. Len Quan's face was green, and there was a sliver of fear in his eyes. He saw that Yimo wasn't heavily injured, so he chose not to attack anymore. I didn't think you were this strong, but I did know that you weren't cultivating ancient martial arts. Len Quan said this to imply that he was cultivating something stronger than ancient martial arts and tried to make everyone feel greedy for it. Len Quan needed time to boost morale now, while Yimo was happy because he also needed time to rest. Chapter 748, Kill them all. Chapter 748. Kill them all everyone, he's injured now. Don't forget he's a high-level herbal doctor, and he clearly also has a secret method that allows him to make things appear out of thin air and even knows how to form inner chi fire. If we kill him, that will all become ours. I, Len Quan, swear that everyone will get a copy of his cultivation method and everyone will get an equal share of his pills, Len Quan said. His words made those few great heaven masters who wanted to retreat reaffirm their desire to kill Yi Mo. Ling Wuxire didn't join in on the speech, because he feared Yi Mo more than Len Quan. He was the only one who realized how cunning Yi Mo really was. Yi Mo had set up everything right from the start. He was very calculating. His series of actions meant that he had accurately predicted what his opponent's reactions would be, which not only required an astute mind, but also a great deal of fighting experience. If they kept fighting him, they would lose for sure. Yi Mo might have a lot of secrets, but his injuries were far less than what the rest thought. Yi Mo looked coldly at the remaining great heaven masters but didn't fear them at all. He was actually very curious. The news he'd gotten before was that there weren't too many great heaven masters in the hidden sects, yet there were so many here. What confused Yi Mo the most was that the difference in power between these different great heaven masters was so huge. A few great heaven masters' power was merely the same as Tan Jiao's whom he had faced in Beijing. He remembered that Ren Pingchuan told him that a real great heaven cultivation meant the formation of a qi si and not just the breaking through of the Ren and Du meridians. Those who couldn't form a qi si were fake great heavens. This method could only improve their power but not their longevity. Those who truly reached great heaven would get a 60-year increase in longevity. If what Ren Pingchuan said was true, then there were at most only a few true great heaven masters here. Luo Xian had said that Ci Hangjing Mosque only had a mere few great heaven masters. Yi Mo doubted that, but if only great heaven peak cultivators were considered great heaven, then Ci Hangjing Mosque really only had a couple. Yi Mo didn't think Luo Xian would trick him, so there had to be a proper reason for her evaluation. No matter what, the remaining 10 people present were masters amongst masters. Even the worst was stronger than Ren Pingchuan. After this time, though, Yi Mo had recovered some of his cultivation essence. Thankfully they didn't know he had such powerful pills, and they were also scared after that last fight. In a moment, I will start the first wave of attack. Elder Hu and Sect Leader Liu, attack with me. Brother Ling, Sect Leader Wan and Elder Zhong, please be the second wave of attack. The remaining people can be the third wave of attack with Elder Jin. Remember, our attacks must follow in rapid succession, there must not be any pauses in between. Len Chan was moving his lips and communicating telepathically. Yi Mo sneered. He had already caught the content with his spirit sense. Hence before they could start their attack, he sent out his flying sword. At the same time, Yi Mo gifted Len Quan and Ling Wuxire each with a few fireballs. His main target was Elder Jin, though. Since he was supposed to be the third wave, he wouldn't attack before Len Quan and Ling Wuxire. They wouldn't expect him to attack first, so it was best to sneak attack now. Yi Mo's flying sword formed thousands of afterimages and flew towards Elder Jin and the remaining 3 masters, and he shot out 2 fireballs at Elder Jin too. You're asking to die. Len Quan realized that Yi Mo seemed to know his plan, since he was attacking Elder Jin first, and was furious. While he chopped away the fireballs with his axe, he charged at Yi Mo. Yi Mo moved aside and dodged the axe, while he sent a punch towards the empty ground 3 meters to the left of Elder Jin. Ling Wuxire's eyes narrowed. Why would Yi Mo be willing to get injured instead of retreating just to send out this punch? He had a bad feeling, but he couldn't figure out why immediately. Slice Len Quan rejoiced at the sound of his axe breaking through Yi Mo's clothes, but at the same time, he saw that his axe only managed to scratch Yi Mo's skin before he moved to the side. Blood spewed out nonetheless, but it was quickly stopped by Yi Mo's cultivation essence. At the same time, a shabby figure appeared in front of Yi Mo. Elder Jin had dodged the 2 fireballs but hadn't expected an inner chi fist to be waiting for him. The fist force passed through Elder Jin's chest. Elder Jin looked at his chest, and there he saw a big hole. At this moment, Yi Mo's flying sword spun around and happened to block Ling Wuxire's sword. Ling Wuxire didn't understand how Yi Mo was always able to predict where his sword would land. Ling Wuxue felt more and more fear. He got the feeling that no matter what sword move he used or how fast he was, this young man would always be able to immediately figure out where his sword was. Clank! Ling Wushue's hand suddenly felt lighter, so he immediately retreated in shock. His sword had been sliced into pieces. Only Ling Wuxue knew how hard his sword was, yet it was still shattered. Yi Mo went on to ignore Ling Wuxue and waved his hand in the air. Invisible wind blades then surrounded the three warriors who had gotten injured by the flying sword. Splurge! The sound of a sword cutting into flesh appeared. No one saw where the sword was, but the three great heaven masters who were to attack together with Elder Jin were all gutted. Invisible sword Kai. Ling Wuxue and Len Quan shivered. Just how many more cards did this fellow have? After another round of attacks had passed, they had lost 4 people again. Only 6 people remained, while all Yi Mo had paid for it was a faint wound on his chest. Len Quan's face looked bad, and he finally understood why Yi Mo had been willing to take his axe. Ling Wushue's face was also pale. This was the second time he had been thoroughly seen out-calculated by this young man. Just how many fights had he been through to have such experience and calculations? Although everyone here was older than Yi Mo, Ling Wuxue felt that their combined experience didn't match Yi Mo's. Yi Mo ate a few more pills. He looked very calm, but he knew that although they had less and less people, victory would not necessarily be his. His cultivation essence was depleting rapidly, so in the next wave of attacks, he had to kill either Ling Wuxue or Len Quan or he wouldn't be able to last long enough to see this through. His wounds weren't serious, but he wouldn't have enough cultivation essence. Yi Mo, I know you're strong, but even if you kill all of us here, you're no match for the 3 big sects. My power is at most second best in the Kuan Qian sect. Therefore, I would like all of us to stop here and pretend like nothing ever happened. Ling Wuxue thought that if they continued fighting, they might really all die. Len Quan looked at Ling Wuxue in shock. The other 2 great heaven masters saw this and couldn't hold on anymore, so they retreated quickly. The earth levels saw that even the great heaven masters were retreating and so they ran away too. Yi Mo sneered and jumped up. He ignored Len Quan and company and shot tens of fireballs and wind blades at the men who were trying to run away. Since they came, they wouldn't get to leave. 2 more great heaven masters and more than 10 earth levels were killed just like that, leaving behind nothing but mutilated and burned corpses. Len Quan and company all took a cold breath. This young man was too cruel. They weren't even allowed to run away, he wanted to massacre them completely. Chapter 749, Ground Full of Great Heaven Bodies. Chapter 749, Ground Full of Great Heaven Bodies. The magical continent mountain that should be bustling right now was instead completely quiet, and it was a silent and deathly atmosphere which filled the air. Yi Mo turned around and looked at the remaining 4 great heaven masters. His face was the epitome of coldness and indifference, while blood was dripping from his body. Everyone now knew that the young man in front of them wanted to massacre them completely. They had witnessed the fate of those who ran away, so no one dared to run anymore. I originally only wanted to kill that Yuan Chong and Chi Kai, but since you guys wanted my life, pay for it with your own. After Yi Mo said this, his flying sword turned into a sword ray and charged straight at Len Quan. He was set on killing Len Quan this time. But the next scene took everyone by surprise. Even Len Quan and Ling Wuxue didn't expect they would both take the same action, but Len Quan and Ling Wuxue both grabbed the Great Heaven Master next to them at almost the same time and threw them at Yi Mo while retreating. They both wanted to run and both did so in the same way. The other 2 Great Heaven cultivators didn't expect masters like Len Quan and Ling Wuxue to do this, so without being able to put up any resistance, they were thrown onto Yi Mo's flying sword. Blood splurged as the flying sword cut through them at their waist. Yi Mo didn't care about Ling Wuxue and just controlled his flying sword to stop Len Quan. Len Quan cursed at Yi Mo coming for him first, but facing the flying sword, he could only watch as Ling Wuxue got away while he had to stay and even try to stop Yi Mo to his benefit. Meanwhile, Yi Mo knew clearly how his condition was. His injuries weren't serious, but they weren't light either. The main thing was that his cultivation essence was heavily depleted even with all the pills he ate. Even if he didn't want Ling Wuxue to leave, he couldn't stop him anymore. In fact, If Ling Wuxure had stayed and helped this Tai sect old man fight him to the death, the result of that would really be hard to predict. Little bastard, I'll fight you to death. Len Quan gathered all his inner qi and hacked at Yi Mo with his axe. This axe contained almost all of his inner qi. Yi Mo sneered. This cultivator had probably started cultivating only halfway through his life, because he used a pretty unorthodox weapon. Yi Mo also channeled his cultivation essence into his flying sword and clashed with the axe again, but it didn't leave any marks. Thud Yi Mo was forced many meters back by the huge power of the axe and spat a mouth of blood for the first time in the battle. Len Quan was surprised at the sight. So many people had been attacking Yi Mo and he hadn't spat blood, yet he simply used his full power and attacked him once and Yi Mo spat blood. This was very strange. But when Len Quan thought about it, he immediately understood. Yi Mo was strong, yes, but he was at the end of his means by now. Ha ha ha. Len Quan laughed hysterically. He wasn't laughing because he was certain he could take out Yi Mo. He was laughing at the fact that the remaining 6 of them didn't work together. If they had, perhaps Yi Mo would be long dead already. But they only cared about running away, which eventually just benefited Yi Mo. Even if it was only Ling Wuxure and him left, they might be able to take Yi Mo out. But now, it was all too late. Ling Wuxure had run away, and he was by himself. He couldn't take on Yi Mo alone. Yi Mo ate another lotus life pill and didn't intend to retreat at all when Len Quan charged at him. He knew what Len Quan was thinking just by looking at how he was charging at him like a madman. Flying sword and huge axe clashed again, and he took a few steps back. He knew that he had the lower hand in terms of Kai right now, so before Len Quan could continue attacking, he conjured countless wind blades and spat out some essence blood to shoot out tens of fireballs. He needed to finish the fight as fast as possible. He was worried about Mu Xiaoyun and the current state of his body. Len Quan spun his axe around like a windmill, creating a strong qi swirl that broke apart Yi Mo's wind blades and fireballs. Yi Mo ate the last essence Kai pill he had and sent out even more fireballs and wind blades. Len Quan was furious about the way Yi Mo was fighting, but he couldn't get out of the wind blade and fireball barrage. Len Quan knew that if this continued, he would die for sure. Cruelty showed in his eyes as his qi expanded. The inner qi swirling around him intensified, rendering Yi Mo's wind blades and fireballs unable to get close to Len Quan. Yi Mo couldn't help but rejoice that his battle plan from before had been correct. He had avoided Len Quan and Ling Wuxure, making the two fear him and lose the will to fight. If they hadn't run and had instead stayed to fight him to the death, he would have been in real danger. Len Quan quickly jumped many meters into the air after slashing away the magic skills and hacked down towards Yi Mo's head. He was really at his limits now and had almost no power left. Yi Mo was shook. He didn't think Len Quan would still have such a powerful attack left, but from the wounds he had, Yi Mo could tell that he had also paid a price to get out of his wind blade barrage. Yi Mo caught the axe with his flying sword and gathered all the cultivation essence he had before punching it towards Len Quan. Yi Mo thought that if Len Quan dodged that and he used his wind blades to hurt him again right after, he should be able to take Len Quan's life as soon as his flying sword was free. But Yi Mo was obviously overestimating Len Quan. Len Quan had used up all the inner qi he had. He couldn't dodge the attack at all, and he had to use inner qi to glide in mid-air. Thud, the fist wind struck Len Quan's chest head-on. Flesh flew all over the place as Len Quan's body was turned into a bloody mist. Yunzi was very fast, yet even before she arrived at the mountain, she already saw people running away everywhere. When she stopped someone and asked them what was going on, she found out that the big sects were ganging up on Yi Mo and that they were having a heaven-shaking battle. Yunzi knew that Yi Mo was strong, but she also knew what sort of place Magical Continent Mountain was and how many masters would be there now. But she wasn't too worried about Yi Mo as she knew he could fly. If he couldn't beat them, he could just fly away. When Yunzi got to the peak, though, she was shocked by the scene. There were blooded bodies everywhere, and the fight seemed to be still going on. Yi Mo didn't run away. This was her first thought, but as she walked a bit further, she just happened to see the scene where Yi Mo beat Len Quan into a bloody mist. Yunzi was shocked. She knew Len Quan's power all too well. Even though her father was at the great heaven peak, even he might not be able to beat Len Quan, yet such a powerful person was beaten into a bloody mist by Yi Mo. And when she looked a bit further, she was stunned by the countless great heaven bodies lying there. She knew many of the faces: Chi Kai, Elder Jin, the sect leaders of the Forgery Hall and Gemini Sword sect, etc. Those dead on the ground were all either Grand Elders or sect leaders. All these renowned people had become mere bodies, and some didn't even have a body left. Great heaven masters, any one of them could dominate the world, yet here, she saw their bodies piled up. Chapter 750, Magical Passage. Chapter 750, Magical Passage. Yunzi shivered and subconsciously looked at Yi Mo with fearful eyes. Yi Mo was motionlessly standing amongst the bloody bodies with his sword in hand. There was blood all over his body, some of it even dripping down from his hair. He was this powerful. Even when so many great heaven masters tried to kill him, he killed them all instead. Yunzi felt like Yi Mo was a slaughter god, a war god, like he could do anything. Meanwhile, Yi Mo's cultivation essence was all used up and his spirit sense was heavily depleted. The reason why he was standing still was to gather some cultivation essence. He saw Yunzi as soon as she came up, but just hadn't moved. Once he recovered some cultivation essence, he looked at her and said, "Come over. Brother Yi." Yunzi quickly went over. Life was like this, although she hadn't voiced it before, she had shared Xiaoling's perspective too. They thought that Mo Ying was the dung that the flower which was Mu Xiaoyun was planted in. But now she understood just how good Mu Xiaoyun's eyes were. She had actually found someone so absurdly powerful like Yi Mo. Take me to Ice Lake now. Yi Mo believed that by the time he got to Ice Lake, his cultivation essence would be recovered enough. He told Yunzi to take him there because he would be able to use the time on the cart to recover his essence. Yunzi was dazed for a moment but then immediately understood. She rejoiced and nodded, "Yes, Brother Yi, I'll take you there now." Then, Yunzi took out the pill Yi Mo had given her and said, "Brother Yi, I don't need this pill." Yi Mo looked strangely at her and said, "Your internal injuries are not light. If you don't eat this, you might get worse or even lose your power." Yunzi looked dejected and said, "Brother Yi, you promised that you owed me, so I want you to do something else for me." Yi Mo waved his hand. Although Yunzi was pretty, he didn't like her little calculations. "Just eat the pill. As long as you take me to Ice Lake, I'll help you do another thing after I'm done there," Yi Mo said plainly. "Yes, Brother Yi." Yunzi was smart enough and didn't mention the pill anymore. Yi Mo picked up Len Quan's axe. He felt it was very extraordinary. His flying sword had had his cultivation essence attached to it, yet had still been unable to do anything to this axe. Yi Mo didn't have the time to look at it now, though, so he just threw it inside his ring and went inside Yunzi's cart. Yunzi saw with her own eyes how Yi Mo turned a huge axe into nothing and was shaken even more. She became more fearful of Yi Mo and wondered if she should have called Yi Mo Qianbei. She quickly cast those thoughts aside, and when they got to the bottom of the mountain, she told that half-step Great Heaven Man and Xiao Ling to wait for her at Chan City while she manned the horse and took Yi Mo to Ice Lake. Yi Mo didn't know why Yunzi did this, but he didn't care. "Grandma, thank you." Mu Xiaoyun was very grateful to Elder Feng while sitting on the cart to Ice Lake. If it wasn't for Elder Feng, she would be dead weight to her husband. If she caused her husband's death, she would never be able to forgive herself. Elder Feng smiled, "Xiaoyun, you'll always be an Ice Lake disciple in my heart. Although I agreed to send you to Tai Yi after the tournament, I was just tricking them. Now that your husband is back, I can rest easy. I treat all Ice Lake disciples the same." Inside the cart, when Fei Qin and Qi Shuo heard this, they looked very grateful too. Ji Ilan immediately said, "Yes, Xiaoyun, don't worry. With Grandma here, Ice Lake will be fine and so will you." Elder Feng's cart was very quick, but after 2 hours, Mu Xiaoyun noticed that the direction it was headed to wasn't Ice Lake. Just when Mu Xiaoyun wanted to ask something, Elder Feng took the cart into a hidden valley. Coincidentally, at this moment an ordinary warrior saw the Ice Lake cart and quickly hid on the side. He only got up after the cart was completely in the valley and patted his chest. "I should leave. If I happen to see some of the hidden sect's matters, I'll be dead for sure." Grandma, is this another post of Ice Lake? Ji Elan asked in Mu Xiaoyun's stead. Elder Feng nodded and made the cart go faster. Auntie Miao and Elder Luo don't seem to be here, Fei Qin said. Elder Feng didn't speak, but Ji Elan explained, Grandma is probably worried about Xiaoyun, so she took us here first. Auntie Miao and company should be fine. Who knows if someone will try to do something to Xiaoyun once we get back to Ice Lake? Hearing this, everyone immediately understood. After another hour passed, the cart left the valley and came to a rather flat, open area. Grandma, how come I've never seen this place before? It really is very well hidden. Everyone got off while Ji Elan gave a comment. Well, you'll know everything later. We need a few more posts in order for Ice Lake to grow bigger. Elder Feng then took out 5 white stones and looked at a direction before throwing them out. The stones landed in 5 different spots. Mu Xiaoyun was shook. These stones were spirit stones. Grandma had this many? Grandma, did you just throw Kai stones? Ji Elan recognized the stones and exclaimed. She knew how precious they were. Even if Ice Lake gathered all their wealth, they might not be able to buy one, yet Grandma just threw 5. Elder Feng didn't reply, but the plain mountain wall suddenly opened, revealed a passage. Ji Elan and the others were shocked. Elder Feng said plainly, this tunnel will only be open for a short time. Everyone get on the cart quickly, we'll be going in. No one knew why the elder had hidden this place at such a huge cost, but they simply followed. As soon as they went inside, the tunnel quickly closed. On the outside, it had gone back to nothing but a mountainside again. This was too magical. Elder Feng didn't talk as she led the 4 into a stone room. To everyone's surprise, there was a clean room inside. It was a round-shaped room. There was nothing in there except for 5 odd-looking sinks near the wall. There were many strange markings on the ground too, which seemed alive at first, but upon further investigation, they just seemed like ordinary markings. Chapter 751, Knowing Will. Chapter 751, Knowing Will. Elder, do you come here often? Ji Elan was surprised at how clean the stone room was. Elder Feng walked to a wooden chair and sat down before shaking her head. No, this is the second time I'm here because every time one wants to enter this place, 5 Kai stones need to be used up. It took me more than a decade to gather these 5. This stone room contains a big secret. I was planning on helping you become a second-grade hidden sect first and then leave Ice Lake to investigate this room. But due to Xiaoyun, I could only come earlier. A pity about my Kai stones. Mu Xiaoyun frowned. She felt Elder Feng's words were strange. Seeing Ji Elan's confusion, Elder Feng ignored her and said to Mu Xiaoyun, Xiaoyun, I know your husband is no ordinary person and the cultivation method he is learning is probably not an ancient martial art, right? I trust that your husband must have taught you the cultivation method. And so, on account of you also being an Ice Lake disciple at the end of the day, having received benefits from Ice Lake, please show us your cultivation method. Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. Mu Xiaoyun heard this and immediately understood. This Elder Feng wanted her cultivation method, and that was why she had taken her away. It wasn't because she was an Ice Lake disciple or anything. After understanding this, Mu Xiaoyun's good impression of Elder Feng was immediately gone. Grandma, you? Ji Elan looked at Elder Feng in disbelief. She didn't expect her grandma to have been planning like that. Elder Feng waved her hand to stop Ji Elan from talking. Elan, you don't know what Yimo's cultivation method means to Ice Lake, and what it means to me. According to legends, a long time ago, people didn't cultivate ancient martial arts on magical continent but something that can allow you to fly, control the weather and even attain long life. But after countless years, only ancient martial arts remained, and ancient martial arts then even reached a bottleneck we can't surpass great heaven. Then, Elder Feng said to Mu Xiaoyun, Xiaoyun, I've been watching you for a long time. In the 4 years you stayed at Ice Lake, you haven't actually cultivated for more than a year, and what you're cultivating isn't the Star Rain cultivation method, yet you progressed so fast that I didn't dare believe it. I didn't understand why, but after seeing your husband today, I guessed that you never cultivated in the Star Rain cultivation method from the beginning. You used something else to imitate the Star Rain cultivation method, right? Ji Ilan looked at Mu Xiaoyun in shock. She had reached the black level peak with only 1 year? This was too shocking. Mu Xiaoyun's tone was a little cold as she replied, "Indeed, I haven't cultivated the star rain cultivation method but have been cultivating what my husband gave me. However, without his permission, I would never give it to anyone." Although her tone was plain, the adamant will behind it was obvious. Elder Feng showed immense joy upon confirming that her conjecture was right. There was a sliver of madness in that joy. Of course, how could a young man in his 20s easily slaughter great heaven masters otherwise? So that was it, ha ha ha. Xiaoyun, if it wasn't for what you cultivate, I wouldn't be rude to you like this, because I'm truly grateful to you and your husband. He cured my internal injuries after all. But now, I must get the cultivation method no matter what. The glint in Elder Feng's eyes became scarier, and she was about to get up and attack Mu Xiaoyun. "Grandma, how can you? Xiaoyun is our Ice Lake's disciple. She's my martial sister." Ji Ilan acted as though she didn't know this Grandma Feng. She would have never thought that the grandma-like figure she knew could show such behavior. "Ilan, move aside. You will understand later that what I did today was right. No one can stop my will, because you can't possibly imagine what that sort of cultivation method means." Elder Feng's face became scary, and she pushed Ji Ilan aside. Mu Xiaoyun took a few steps back and suddenly gave Elder Feng 6 spirit stones. "Elder Feng, I know you need Kai stones. I have 6 here. They're all yours. I just want to see my husband, and I think my husband will agree to your request." Mu Xiaoyun did this because she knew that if Elder Feng got her cultivation method, she would kill her for sure. She didn't care about her life that much, but she didn't want to leave her husband behind. When Mu Xiaoyun subconsciously took out the spirit stones like that, Elder Feng was dumbfounded. Her body started shaking with excitement, and she threw the Kai stones to the ground. She said shakily to Mu Xiaoyun, You have the storage ring? The legendary spatial ring, such things really exist, ha ha ha, it's all real." Mu Xiaoyun was dazed. She was just trying to stall for some time, yet her action made Elder Feng only more crazy. Looking at Elder Feng's hysteric state, Ji Ilan came up again with tears and stood in front of her. "Grandma, Xiaoyun is an Ice Lake disciple. If you need her cultivation method, you can ask it from her husband, Grandma. *SS off." Elder Feng had completely gone mad and slapped Ji Ilan away. Only she knew that she wasn't mad at all, she was just shaking in excitement. With the magical ring and this cultivation method, perhaps she could become the #1 cultivator of the magical continent. The Tai Yi and Kuan Qian trash would never know why she had taken Mu Xiaoyun away, but if they did, wouldn't they jump off a cliff in regret? Elder Feng slapped out towards Mu Xiaoyun. She was going to knock her out first and take her spatial ring. Perhaps the cultivation method was in there. But before her palm reached Mu Xiaoyun, a faint light barrier shot out from Mu Xiaoyun's wrist. Crack, the barrier broke, and then a faint blue mist started to emanate, soon covering the entire room. Elder Feng was dazed for a moment but quickly grabbed at Mu Xiaoyun again, but as she wanted to gather her inner qi, she felt a sudden tearing pain in her meridians. She couldn't use any inner qi at all. Elder Feng was shook. Mu Xiaoyun was a black-level peak warrior. If she couldn't use her inner qi, Mu Xiaoyun would be easily able to kill her. Mu Xiaoyun's heart pained when she saw her bracelet break. Her husband had said that this bracelet was akin to him being by her side, yet now Elder Feng had broken it. This made Mu Xiaoyun furious. Without thinking, she took out her flying sword from the spatial ring and moved to kill Elder Feng. Elder Feng saw this and was worried, so she kicked one of the spirit stones under her foot at Mu Xiaoyun while hurriedly retreating. Click, the spirit stones landed in one of the sinks as she just left the room. Then, the other 4 sinks made a buzzing noise, and the remaining spirit stones were sucked in too. Suddenly a white light started circulating in the room. The 4 were shocked, not knowing what was going on. The big room rumbled, and the doorless room was suddenly sealed shut. Elder Feng was also dazed, but before she could come back to her senses, the tearing pain in her meridians appeared again. She was in so much pain that she started rolling around the room while she felt her inner qi disappear into nothing. Knowing will pill, knowing my will, so that was it. What a cunning little bastard, I hate you. Elder Feng writhed and convulsed on the ground. She finally understood what Yi Mo had done when he gave Mu Xiaoyun to her. If she attacked Mu Xiaoyun, the bracelet would spew that herbal smoke, and because she had taken the knowing will pill, the two combined into something that rendered her completely powerless. Chapter 752, Xiaoyun gone missing. Chapter 752, Xiaoyun gone missing. By the time Yi Mo woke up again, all his cultivation essence had recovered. His spirit sense had also recovered completely and even improved a little bit. With a few cleansing spells, all the blood from Yi Mo disappeared. Brother Yi, we have arrived at Ice Lake, Yun Zi's voice sounded. After Yi Mo had entered the cart, he hadn't made a sound for a whole day and night, but Yun Zi didn't dare wake him up before they arrived at Ice Lake. Okay, Yi Mo answered and dashed through the Ice Lake's entrance like the wind and disappeared. Who goes there? Stop. Someone immediately stopped Yi Mo at the door to the core hall of Ice Lake. Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense out and his face changed. Mu Xiaoyun wasn't there. He didn't see Elder Feng either. Three figures quickly appeared before Yi Mo. Yi Mo knew two of them, while the other one seemed to be an elder. Mo, Mr. Yi. Miao Lian's expression was complicated. Yi Mo nodded and asked, Where's Xiaoyun? She came back with Elder Feng. Where is she? Miao Lian quickly said, Grandma hasn't returned. The 4 disciples who went with her haven't returned either. Yi Mo frowned, and his tone turned cold. I left later than them yet have arrived already. She left before me, how could she not be back? Before Miao Lian could reply, the elder behind her sneered, Who do you think you are? Does Elder Feng need to report to you when she comes back? Yi Mo replied plainly, I just want to ask where my wife Xiaoyun is. I don't care about other people. Mu Xiaoyun? She's just a mere disciple of Ice Lake. Even if you are someone important to her, what right do you have to be asking questions here? *SS off. This isn't a place you can come as you please. This elder didn't seem to like Yi Mo and was even about to attack him. Miao Lian was worried. This elder had only just come and didn't know about the events of Magical Continent Mountain yet. Since Yi Mo was here, it meant that he had won the battle. She quickly stopped the elder and said, Elder Hu, we can talk it out. Yi Mo's tone went cold. I'll ask one more time, where is Mu Xiaoyun? Where is Elder Feng? This Elder Hu woman sneered again. In what way do you have the right to ask where Elder Feng is? You're just an insect. I've always despised that Mu Xiaoyun. She receives such large amounts of our sect's resources, and all she does is stand on that ice lake gazing into nothingness. Are you the little bastard that made her so horny? Since you're so cocky, I'll dash. She suddenly stopped talking as Yi Mo waved his hand and a line of blood appeared on her neck. You. The elder pointed at Yi Mo in horror. This young man was so terrifyingly powerful. She didn't even know how he had attacked her. Miao Lian was dazed at the scene for a long while. An Earth-level elder was killed just like that without being able to put up any resistance. Meanwhile, Yi Mo's heart was burning with worry. How could he hold back his temper when this woman kept insulting Mu Xiaoyun? He now knew that his prediction had been right. That Elder Feng had been planning something, but he could only give Mu Xiaoyun to her then, because she would have been dead if she had stayed with him. He had made some preparations for Mu Xiaoyun, however. If Mu Xiaoyun's bracelet was broken, a mist would come out. Ordinary people would be fine smelling it, but those who had eaten the knowing will pill would have one ingredient in the pill neutralized, and the whole pill would become huge poison that corrodes the meridians. Yi Mo believed that if Elder Feng dared do something to Mu Xiaoyun, she would take his blow. If she did, the others wouldn't dare touch Mu Xiaoyun, because only he could remedy the poison. If Mu Xiaoyun died, Elder Feng would die too. But when Yi Mo came to Ice Lake, he couldn't pick up on Mu Xiaoyun with his spirit sense or sense the spirit sense mark he had left on the bracelet. That was why he was so worried. Mr. Yi, Elder Feng truly never came back. Our cart was behind her cart, and we've been back for many days, yet she still isn't back. We don't know where she went, another sect member said. He knew from Yi Mo's killing intent that it would be all too easy for him to slaughter all of Ice Lake. Yi Mo's heart sunk. He was scared of hearing this the most. Elder Feng not having come back to Ice Lake meant he had lost all leads. No, he had to find her. Yimo didn't want to waste his time at Ice Lake anymore, so he turned around to leave. But after a few steps, he turned back and said with a cold voice, "I want everyone presently in Ice Lake to leave right now. Before I find Xiaoyun, you must not get near Ice Lake at all. Or else, death." Miao Lian and the other sect member shivered at the killing intent behind Yimo's words. The man shook his head and said to Miao Lian, "Our Ice Lake disciples should leave and go experience the world then." Secretary, Miao Lian looked at the second-in-command in confusion. The secretary sighed. He vaguely knew why Elder Feng had disappeared, but if he told Yimo, this slaughter god, about it, he might kill everyone on the spot. The secretary believed that since Elder Feng had done this, that meant that she had abandoned everyone else at Ice Lake. She probably only took those 4 disciples so they could help Ji Ilan. But even he would be surprised to find out Elder Feng had abandoned even Ji Ilan. Yimo came back to the cart like a shooting star. Seeing that Yunzi was still there, he immediately nodded to her and said, "Tell me the path from Ice Lake to Magical Mountain. I have to go find Xiaoyun. Oh, and if you know where Tai Yi and Kuan Qian are, tell me too." Yunzi could tell Yimo hadn't found Mu Xiaoyun. Who knew what would happen if he didn't find her? But she didn't ask much and simply gave Yimo a map. Yimo took the map and saw that the precise locations of all the big sects were marked on it. The route from Ice Lake to Magical Continent Mountain was also very clear. "Thank you, I'm going. Wait for me at Chan City. I will help you do one thing after I'm done." Then, Yimo was about to leave. "Wait, Brother Yi," Yunzi suddenly called out. Yimo turned back and looked at her, and Yunzi quickly said, "In the years you weren't here, Sister Xiaoyun would stand on this big rock waiting for you every day." As soon as she said this, Yimo instantly appeared on that big rock, and indeed, there were 2 faint footprints on it. Yimo felt the footprints and felt an endless longing for Mu Xiaoyun. No matter what, he would find her. He had the subtle feeling of certainty that Mu Xiaoyun was still alive. The next moment, Yimo got off the huge rock and soared into the sky on his flying sword. It was very far for ordinary people from Ice Lake to Magical Continent Mountain, but it took Yimo just 10 minutes to travel that distance. While he did, he searched around countless times but didn't find any spirit sense marks anywhere. Yimo gradually became more and more disappointed, and he found nothing in a whole day. Tai Yi sect, Kuan Qian sect. Yimo murmured their names word by word and flew towards the Tai Yi sect first. Chapter 753, Tai Yi sect annihilated. Chapter 753, Tai Yi sect annihilated. Tai Yi sect was a special grade sect, just like Kuan Qian and Si Hangjing Mosque. However, Tai Yi's power was much higher than Kuan Qian sects. Although their foundation wasn't as strong as Si Hangjing Mosque's, they weren't missing out too much. Tai Yi sect's mountain was grandiose. It looked powerful and all-encompassing. Yet, the words on the door seemed shabby. Although the words Tai Yi sect were also large and looked powerful, Yimo could tell that these words didn't have the right to be on the door of such a mighty mountain. Yimo sent out his flying sword and sliced the words. The words were immediately pulverized, but the door wasn't affected at all. Yimo sent out his flying sword again and hacked at the door many times, but it had no effect. Yimo stopped trying. He realized that the door and the sign hadn't been made at the same time. Tai Yi sect's people had just taken that place as their home. Just like the air restrictions on the Magical Continent Mountain, they had also been left there a long time ago. Who dares come to disturb and ruin our Tai Yi sect's -2 black-level disciples with Tai Yi sect's Dao uniform dashed outside when Yimo hacked down the words Tai Yi sect. But immediately, they were torn into half by Yimo's wind blades. Their blood stained the stairs and the people behind them subconsciously stopped. Yimo sneered. He had gone there to annihilate the sect. If it hadn't been for Tai Yi sect, would any of this have happened to Mu Xiaoyun? If it hadn't been for Tai Yi sect, would Qingxue have almost died? And now, because of Tai Yi sect, Yimo still hadn't found Xiaoyun. He was venting all his anger on Tai Yi. He wouldn't listen to any explanation they had unless Xiaoyun suddenly appeared. Since the hidden sect's people like to talk with their fists, he would do that today. His Yi-Mo, the Yi-Mo who killed all the Earth-level and above masters on the magical continent mountain, as well as our Grand Elder Len and Kuan Qian's elderling, a terrified voice sounded, as more people realized that that crazy young man was the Yi-Mo who had slaughtered everyone on the magical continent mountain. There were that many great heaven masters, plenty of great heaven peak masters and halfway great heavens, and countless Earth-level masters. Yet, even with that many people fighting Yi-Mo, none of them were able to escape. This had never happened in the history of the magical continent. However, Yi-Mo knew that at least Ling Wuxure had escaped. I, Yi-Mo, will annihilate the Tai sect. All of those who stay in Tai will be killed. If you want to live, take off your Tai Dao uniform, spit on the ground and trample on it. Only then can you leave. Yi-Mo's voice sounded through the entire Tai sect. Yi-Mo was adamant on annihilating Tai sect, but there were about 1,000 sect members. He didn't want to kill them all, so he gave them a chance to run away. Run. However, these 6 Tai sect members could only take a few steps before being sliced on the neck by a sword ray. Their heads were rolling on the ground. The remaining people who wanted to run took a breath in and stopped. A few smart ones remembered Yi-Mo's words. They immediately took off their clothes, spat and trampled on them a few times before running away from the mountain. These people didn't get killed, so they were able to escape. Following these disciples' actions, the rest of the Tai sect members reacted even faster. Some tried to suck up to Yi-Mo and yelled Tai is trash, and some even peed on their clothes. Those few disciples who tried to run away without doing so were immediately decapitated. Yi-Mo moved forward as he killed the resistance. His flying sword flew around, breaking buildings and causing a huge chaos. A few Earth-level and half-step Great Heaven Masters tried to come down and stop Yi-Mo, but they didn't even last a round before they were killed. Yi-Mo kept shooting fireballs and the buildings started to burn. Most of Tai's power had been annihilated at the mountain, so there were only a few Great Heaven Masters left. The remaining ones were all below Earth level. Those who didn't want to run away were all killed. Stop. Dao friend, you're crossing the line. People need to know when to stop. You've already killed so many Tai sect disciples, as well as Len Quan and Chi Kai disciples. Tai has been pretty much annihilated now. I think you should stop. The main palace does not belong to Tai. It has been passed down for generations since ancient times. Are you really going to destroy everything? An old man with a rough face appeared before Yi-Mo like a ghost. After seeing this old man, Yi-Mo's pupils dilated. Perhaps that guy was Tai's strongest. Yi-Mo felt the power of Foundation Establishment state on him, but Yi-Mo knew that old man wasn't a Dao cultivator. His Kai surpassed Len Quan and Ling Wushure's. Was he above Great Heaven? It was the first time that Yi-Mo saw an ancient martial artist above Great Heaven. That old man had the Kai of Foundation Establishment state and gave Yi-Mo a strong oppressive feeling. However, Yi-Mo wasn't afraid of the old man. He had cultivated the 3 birth chant, so his spirit sense was very powerful, and he had a large and strong cultivation essence. What made Yi-Mo confused was that old man clearly didn't fear him. Then why did he wait to come out until almost all of Tai had been annihilated? If he hadn't been going to burn the main palace, that old man wouldn't have even come out. Yi-Mo flicked his flying sword and his strong battle intent appeared. Feeling this, the old man sneered as though his authority was being challenged. He said coldly, "Are you going to fight me?" Ha ha ha. Yi-Mo laughed, "Old man, I came here to slaughter and burn this place down. What are you going to do about it? Since you're standing in front of me, I will kill you." Okay, I wasn't planning on fighting, but since you're so confident, I'll see if you have real power or if you're just capable of killing Chokans. The old man was angry. Kokisha *T. Yi-Mo spat as his flying sword turned into a white ray and he shoot it over. The old man raised his palm in mid-air. After throwing the strike, Yi-Mo immediately saw with his spirit sense that there was an invisible ripple in front of his flying sword. It was like an impassable barrier. Such powerful inner chi. Yi-Mo was amazed. For the first time, he met someone who had more strength on his inner chi cultivation than his cultivation essence. No, this wasn't inner chi. This was something as strong as cultivation essence. Yimo threw a punch. He was only at stage 7 of Kai gathering, he didn't have any special weapons, killing means or cultivation techniques. He only had a flying sword. Yimo chose to fight the old man hand against hand, because after cultivating the 3 birth chant, his cultivation Kai that could only be transformed into cultivation essence at foundation establishment state had been transformed early. However, Yimo knew he had too little means of fighting enemies. It wasn't enough if he was in the cultivation realm. Yimo's fist hit the air wall, making a huge deep explosion. The wall behaved like paper mesh, it was broken by Yimo. The flying sword was freed, it spun a circle and stood in the air. Such strong chi, the old man applauded and took a step forward. His palm clenched into a fist and he punched. Instantly, Yimo felt like he was trapped in a cage. He sometimes seemed to see 1 or 10s of fists coming to his way from all directions. Very well. Yimo punched too. Chapter 754, Medicine of the Legends. Chapter 754, Medicine of the Legends. Bang bang bang. Before the 2 fists even touched, the sound of air exploding created a huge ravine in the earth between them. Crack. Yimo's fist finally clashed with the old man's, and as a huge pain came from his fist, Yimo knew his bones were shattered. But Yimo knew that the old man wasn't much better off than him. His inner chi was strong, but it wasn't Tao cultivation essence. He was also old, and his body was weaker. The old man probably took a bigger hit than him. Yimo sneeringly took a lotus life pill and was about to fight again. Wait. The old man waved his hand. I'm old, so I have to admit defeat. If we keep fighting, my 2 hands will become disabled. Yimo stopped and smiled. So that means I can burn this palace down now, and you won't have any objections? The old man smiled bitterly. I never had any objections when you came to annihilate the Taiyi sect, but I suggest you don't burn this palace down. It doesn't belong to Taiyi. It's a heritage of the magical continent. There was once a glorious past here, but that was truly a long time ago. The old man paused before looking at Yimo. You probably don't cultivate ancient martial arts. If I'm right, you cultivate a type of truth cultivation method. In other words, you cultivate the supreme Tao, and so you're countless times stronger than us ancient martial arts cultivators. Yimo was dazed. He was already shook when this old man said he didn't care if Taiyi was annihilated, but his words after that shook him even more. You know about truth cultivation? Yimo asked subconsciously. Surprise and joy appeared in the old man's eyes. He quickly said, so it was like that, you're a truth cultivator, and not an ancient martial arts cultivator indeed. Great, great. It's been nearly 100 years, and I've finally found a real truth cultivator. Seeing Yimo's confusion, the old man suddenly said, I am called Li Cheng. If you don't mind, please let me invite you for a chat at my place. Sure, Yimo agreed without hesitation. He could tell Li Cheng didn't have any killing intent for him, and even if he did, he wouldn't care. Moreover, he also had many things to ask this Li Cheng. Yimo didn't mention burning the palace down again, and Li Cheng didn't bring it up either. He knew that this was Yimo giving him some consideration and that he had decided not to burn the palace down. Li Cheng lived at a peaceful valley behind the mountain to the back of Taiyi. The valley looked like the small home of a farmer. The air was fresh and soothing. This was Spirit Kai. Yimo was stunned. He didn't think this place would have so much better Spirit Kai than outside. Yimo sent his spirit sense in and immediately found a simple Spirit Kai gathering formation. Due to its age though, it was getting old, but it still had some effect. Please have a seat. Li Cheng pointed at a stone stool. Yimo sat down and Li Cheng went into a different room. He brought out 2 cups of milky white liquid and gave one to Yimo. Yimo took the cup and smelled it. His hands shook and he said in shock, is this 10,000-year-old stalagmite marrow? Li Cheng sighed, as I thought, you know what it is. Yimo almost cried. How could he not know? This was worth a fortune in the cultivation realm. In fact, it was legendary. A stalagmite marrow pill was much better than a lotus life pill, but people rarely used it to cure wounds as it had a more important use, which was to make the 5 essence pill. The 5 essence pill's value was unimaginable. Even on Luoyu continent, it was but something of legend. It was a pill that could give birth to a spirit root. In the cultivation realm, there were only 5 types of herbs that could give spirit roots. And those who had a spirit root already could get their spirit root upgraded when they ate the 5 essence pill for the first time. Such a precious thing was drunk as water by this old man. Yi Mo wanted to cry. Seeing Yi Mo dazing at the marrow, Li Cheng went inside and carried out a 5-liter bucket and gave it to Yi Mo. This is all the 10,000-year stalagmite marrow as you called it I have. I have got no use for it, it's yours. Yi Mo took the bucket shakily. This was the most expensive gift he had ever received in his 2 lifetimes. This is too precious. Yi Mo didn't want to say it, but he had to. It really was. Li Cheng waved his hand. This might be very important to you, but to me, it's just a thirst quencher, able to make me healthier at most. I've cultivated ancient martial arts for 120 or so years, and although my body is getting weaker, it's still fine, so I don't really need it. Yi Mo heard this and didn't decline anymore. He took all of it, including the cup he was given, and put it into his storage ring. Spatial ring, such things really exist. Li Cheng was also quite shook but not really shocked to oblivion. Then, Yi Mo gave a lotus life pill to Li Cheng. Li Qianbei, this pill isn't worth even 1/10,000th of the 10,000-year stalagmite marrow, but it can cure all non-soul related injuries. It's yours. Okay, that is useful to me. Li Cheng took it without hesitation. Yi Mo saw this and asked again, Li Qianbei, I've been here for some time new, how come other people don't know the truth about cultivation but you do? Li Cheng sighed. 100 years ago, I wasn't even 30 when I reached the Earth-level peak, and when I was 1 step away from what they now call the Great Heaven stage, I could easily kill Great Heaven Masters. Because of this, I was cocky. Then the Hidden Sects tournament came. I represented Tai Yi and beat more than 10 Ice Lake and all Heaven Sect disciples and helped Tai Yi achieve the special grade Hidden Sect ranking. Due to this, I was named the youngest elder in the sect, the only elder who hadn't reached Great Heaven yet. Yi Mo nodded. To reach the Earth-level peak before 30, this was genius indeed. No wonder he could help Tai Yi achieve the special grade Hidden Sect ranking. But Li Cheng shook his head and said with a reminiscing tone, this place here was originally the base of a small sect, but after Tai Yi became a special grade sect, they took this place over. I didn't like abusing the weak, so I wasn't happy. But after staying in Tai Yi long enough, I realized that the reason why I had been able to beat all those disciples from Ice Lake and All Heaven was actually because of foul play from Tai Yi and Kuan Qian. 2 of their genius disciples had been broken before the tournament. Tai Yi and Kuan Qian had also instigated internal conflicts in Ice Lake and the All Heaven sect. Ci Hangjing Mosque was very hard to meddle with internally, but Ice Lake had a big internal conflict and was lowered to a 3rd grade sect. Then, Li Cheng drank all of the 1,000-year stalagmite marrow in his cup. Yi Mo's heart ached upon the scene, and he was scared Li Cheng would ask him for more, so he quickly took out a few cases of marrow Thai wine. Qianbei, you should drink some wine, it tastes better than the stalagmite marrow. It's marrow Thai. I drank this 30 years ago, it's good. Li Cheng took out a bottle and sliced off the top with his hand. He poured a cup for himself and said, so I wasn't happy with the sect's schemes, thus I reproached the sect leader and was hence locked up here. You were locked up here? Yi Mo pointed at the beautiful paradise thinking, this is no prison, it's a holiday resort. Li Cheng smiled, it became like this afterwards. When I first came here, it was a battered valley. There was an extremely cold cave behind the valley and I found the marrow there. I found buckets of stalagmite marrow there, but I drank it all. This is all that remains. Yi Mo's mouth spasmed. Chapter 755, Hidden Sects Catastrophe. Chapter 755, Hidden Sects Catastrophe. In that cold cave, there was also a skeleton missing an arm. I found answers on a manual of animal skin left behind. He was an ancient martial arts cultivator. He said he had found a certain type of people in this world called the truth cultivators. They could apparently ascend into the immortal realm if they cultivated to the extreme. He spent the following decades searching for them ever since until he got heavily injured and died. Li Cheng continued, after knowing this, I got very excited. When my time here ended, I left Tai in the search of truth cultivators. I was no longer interested in ancient martial arts. When I was 50, I automatically broke through to Great Heaven. I also found a truth cultivation ruin and got a cultivation method. When Tai knew that I had reached Great Heaven, they invited me back. I wanted a quiet place to cultivate, so I came back to Tai and focused on cultivation. Yi Mo felt something was odd. How come Li Cheng hadn't progressed at all? Li Cheng poured another cup for himself and said, I cultivated for 20 whole years and got nothing. I didn't even reach stage 1 Kai gathering in there. In my despair, I left Tai and searched for herbs as my lifespan was about to end. I wanted to break through in ancient martial arts to increase my life. My truth cultivation had no progress, but my ancient martial arts talent was absurd. Not only had I reached Great Heaven Peak, but I had even reached the state people think is above Great Heaven, which is turning inner chi into liquid. After that, I gained mental power and through that I saw what was inside a jade slip. I realized I had no spirit root, so I couldn't cultivate it. In my disappointment, I destroyed everything I had related to truth cultivation, filled up the cave and settled here. In my decades of peaceful meditation, I understood something. If something isn't in your life, don't forcefully try to take it. Yi Mo finally understood why things were as they were. He knew that the stalagmite could be made into the 5-essence pill to create spirit root, but he didn't say it because he couldn't make it with his current power. He would probably have to wait until foundation establishment state. Instead of giving Li Cheng false hopes, he might as well not saying anything. If he reached foundation establishment state and Li Cheng wasn't dead yet, he would give him a 5-essence pill. However, Yi Mo suddenly thought of something. If Li Cheng had cultivate ancient martial arts that rapidly, he should have had spirit root. How could he not have it? Yi Mo poured a cup of wine for Li Cheng and asked, Li Qianbei, I have 2 questions I want to ask. First, since you're from Tai sect, why didn't you stop me from annihilating Tai? Second, I want to know why there is such a huge difference in between Great Heaven martial artists. Li Cheng smiled, I didn't like what Tai did to me in the beginning. Also, in my journey, I met Master Tianzi. He had an unparalleled fortune-telling power. He told me that Tai would only have 100 years of fortune. 100 years later, Tai would cease to exist. So I knew when you came that Tai's time was up. Yi Mo was shook. Was there really such person in the world? Xiaoyun also had a fortune teller who told her grandpa that her husband's surname would be Yi. It was too accurate. There were fortune tellers in the cultivation realm too, but no one who could be this specific. Li Cheng continued, as for the Great Heaven issue, there are many ancient martial artists, but there can't be more than 10 that truly understand Great Heaven. To be precise, I've only barely reached Great Heaven. A long time ago, the hidden sect's ancient martial arts were divided into 4 levels: yellow, black, earth, heaven. Only those who surpassed heaven state were Great Heaven. But these few hundred years, there was barely anyone who could reach Great Heaven. Not one in 100 years. The faith in ancient martial arts started to decline, so people started to remove the level heaven and just called it Great Heaven. Hence, after you break through earth level peak, it's not heaven level, but Great Heaven. Yi Mo finally understood. It seemed his conjectures before were right. Li Cheng continued, I also found some similar records when searching for truth cultivation ruins. I realized that I was heaven level, not Great Heaven. So I came back and tried to reach Great Heaven. Due to each sect having different ways of reaching heaven level, this created some differences in power. Some think Great Heaven is unblocking the Ren and Du meridians, some think the formation of Qi-Si is Great Heaven. But only when one attains both, it is truly heaven level. Turning inner Qi into liquid and gaining mental powers is a true Great Heaven ability. However, there are rarely such heaven levels among the hidden sects, most of them only can form a Qi-Si. Yi Mo nodded. It seemed Ren Pingchuan's understanding of the system was right, but he had neglected heaven level. Yimo talked with Li Cheng for the whole night before leaving the next morning. He wanted to teach Mo Yushan a lesson, but didn't find him. Then, Yimo went to Gemini Sword Sect. 3 days later, news spread out. Because some big sects had ganged up on the mysterious powerhouse Yimo, he had said he would visit them one by one later on. And he did so indeed. It was considered the biggest hidden sects disaster of the century. On May 13th, Tai was annihilated and it became a part of history. On May 14th, first-grade sects Gemini Sword Sect, Four Wind Valley and Crystal Sect were annihilated. The second-grade sects Alliance Fist Hall, Extreme Weapons Sect and another 8 sects were annihilated. On May 15th, the first-grade sects Forgery Hall and Rainbow Sect were annihilated. Moreover, the second-grade sects Fusion Fist Sect, Tongsword Mountain and 4 others were also annihilated. 7 more third-grade sects were annihilated too. On May 17th, Kuan Qian Sect had all their sect members go out to greet Yimo and give him countless gold coins and herbs. They expelled the missing Ling Wuxure. Yimo accepted these gifts and let Kuan Qian Sect go. Taking Kuan Qian as an example, other sects who participated in the attack also did this. Yimo for some reason accepted it all and didn't keep annihilating sects. A catastrophe that had swept through the entire hidden sects had been calmed just like that. Those fearful hidden sects' disciples became very careful with their actions and all the sect leaders breathed at ease. However, the surviving sects made new rules. One of them was that those who offended Yimo would be killed. But that rule was unnecessary. Who would go look for trouble with the number 1 master of the hidden sects? You should be praying that he didn't come look for trouble with you. At this moment, Yimo was under the mountain of Ci Hang Jing Mok. He hadn't stopped because of the gifts, he was just sick of the slaughter. Xiaoyun was missing, so what if he annihilated the entire hidden sects? He had come there today to kill Jezun, not to annihilate the entire sect. He was sure that those nuns couldn't kill a great heaven master, so he had to kill her. Is it young hero Yi? An old voice sounded and a nun quickly came up to Yimo. Yimo was dazed. This title was a first. He didn't mind the nuns there due to the Luo Shen sisters. I'm Jezyan. Young hero Yi, are you here for Jezun? The nun asked amicably. Yimo knew that the reason this sect had left the attack was due to Jezyan, so he was grateful to her. Yes, I came to kill Jezun. Yimo didn't hide his killing intent. Jezyan was dazed. However, she quickly reacted and said apologetically to Yimo, we weren't able to capture her that day, she ran away. I need to thank you young hero Yi. Yimo was dazed, I came here to kill people, but you're thanking me. Chapter 756, Magical Merchant Associations Danger. Chapter 756, Magical Merchant Associations Danger. Jezyan smiled. Young hero Yi went to search for our sect member Luo Xian to the Shuangsha cliff. I'm thanking you for this. Yimo realized that their sect's people also had gone to search for Luo Xian. Luo Xian is my friend. Of course, I need to go look for her when she is missing, Yimo said despondently. Jezyan nodded. Jezun crossed the line. She attacked a core disciple. Yimo sneered, this witch not only killed many of my friends in the outside, but she also killed Luo Yin and forced Luo Xian to jump off a cliff. I must kill her personally. Jezyan sighed and said, Luo Xian's master is still searching around the Shuangsha cliff. Master Jezyan, I'll be leaving now. I will come back after a while. Yimo wanted to give Luo Yin's body to Jezyan, but he had already agreed to take her to Shifeng village. He would go there first and then see. As for Luo Fei, she had gotten used to living in Luo Yu, so he didn't tell Jezyan. He didn't even mention the Ni Luo Sutra either. Regardless of whether it is useful or not, without Luo Xian there, he didn't want to share everything. Yimo didn't know where Yunzi was in Chan City, but he knew that with her abilities she would be the first to know when he arrived. Hence, she would come find him. Yimo walked into a restaurant without even scanning his spirit sense in. He waited for Yunzi there and ate some food in the meantime. Although the hidden sects had been reprimanded by Yimo to keep a low profile, Chan City was still very prosperous. Some small sellers dared to have stalls in the city streets now. The people who charged expensive stall prices had left too because they had heard that Yi Mo had gone to annihilate Tai because a Tai disciple had taken his stall. Of course, some people didn't believe so. However, the one who was talked most about was that Yi Mo Qianbei. You guys don't know. My cousin was also at the magical continent mountain. That Yi Qianbei was really powerful. He killed more than 10 great heaven masters with one hand, then he blew and shot a 100-meter-long flame. PFFFT. That's wrong. Yi Qianbei used frost blades. He sliced them using freezing ice. The great heaven masters were immediately frozen to death. What do you mean with Yi Qianbei? Yi Mo is very young, he just looks scary. Yes, I heard he's almost 3 meters tall. He can crush ordinary people with one hand. It's also said that he has something with a small nun from Ci Hang Jing Mosque. That's also why they didn't join the fight. Yi Mo sat in the restaurant listening to these rumors. He eventually even heard the rumor that he had killed all of Tai sect's people with a slap. Yi Mo was speechless. He thought that technological development was really important after all. If there were TVs, there wouldn't be that much misinformation. Spewing out 100-meter-long flame? Was he a level 7 monster? But those who had really seen Yi Mo or knew of his means wouldn't come out to explain either. They were scared they would offend Yi Mo and that was lethal. Yu Yuyan knew about it. Although Shongqing Mountain had also given Yi Mo a lot of wealth and herbs, many disciples requested to leave and experience the world fearing that Yi Mo would attack the sect. The big sects also feared that Yi Mo's word wasn't trustworthy, so they allowed this. Yu Yuyan was a disciple who had left to experience the world. Yu Yuyan had heard these rumors and got contemptuous. Yet, at the same time she thought that if Yi Mo really had taken her that night, maybe the Yu family could have been the #1 family then. Every time she thought about this, she regretted it. If she had known that Yi Mo was that strong, why would she even have tried to suck up to that dog-shit martial brother Guan? However, just when she was thinking about this, she saw Yi Mo also walk into a restaurant. She was shook and immediately looked down. There was enmity between her and Yi Mo. Would he kill her immediately if he knew she was there? Yu Yuyan didn't dare to look up and tried desperately to find a way out of there. Yi Mo saw her as soon as he walked inside, but he despised that woman a lot. It affected his appetite to eat in the same restaurant as her. Due to this, Yi Mo didn't bother waiting for Yunzi. He scanned his spirit sense out and immediately found her in a big meeting room in the Magical Merchant Association's building. He immediately knew why she wanted him to help her. Yi Mo left the restaurant. Yu Yuyan considered her options for a long while and decided to go find Yi Mo. Yi Mo could kill her easily if he wanted to. Instead of hiding, she might as well face up to him. She looked good and was a virgin. Perhaps if he was interested and she slept with him for a night, all would be different. Yu Yuyan got excited and looked up. However, she was dazed. Yi Mo was gone. In the most grandiose room of the HQ of the Magical Merchant Association, there were many masters. Yunzi and her maid Xiao Ling were also there, but their faces looked really bad. There were also 6 men and 3 women. The strongest was already at Great Heaven, but of course, not the same Great Heaven that Li Cheng had mentioned. Elder Li Pei, you're our Magical Merchant Association's Great Heaven Elder. My father was also generous to you. Why did you betray the Magical Merchant Association and coerce me like this? Yunzi's expression looked bad, but her tone was calm. Elder Li Pei looked past his 50s, but he was very handsome. He also had a good body and in fact, he was in his 60s. He frowned after he heard Yunzi's words. A seductive hot woman next to him said in contempt, "Z, can you blame Big Brother Li Pei for this? Your father offended the Sea Merchant clan, why drag us in it? Also, even if the Magical Merchant Association doesn't join the Sea Merchant clan, it will still get devoured. It's best for you to join forces with the Sea Merchant clan now." As soon as she said this, someone agreed, "Yes, although your father created Magical Merchant Association from scratch, it has reached today's power due to everyone's hard work. The Sea Merchant clan is stronger than the Magical Merchant Association. It's a good opportunity to join them now. Otherwise, in 2 years perhaps the Magical Merchant Association won't exist." The old man next to Yunzi suddenly sneered and got up. Everyone knows what you guys are thinking. When the Magical Merchant Association was acclaimed all over the magical continent and the old president was still here, why didn't you say that? Because at that time, you were all earning money and had a high status. Now that something has happened to the Magical Merchant Association, you just want to sell it to our opponent. If you join them, you can remain as elders and keep earning money. But what about the Magical Merchant Association-Yunzi sighed and stopped the old man from continuing. She also knew what these people were thinking. Yun Tong, stop pretending to be the good guy. I won't believe that you've earned less than us these years at Magical Merchant Association. Moreover, we earned the money through our hard work. We're helping the Magical Merchant Association now. What are you doing? Another monkey-faced man got up and said. Yunzi couldn't hold it anymore and yelled in anger, Chu Iju, shut up. Don't think I don't know what you're plotting. How did my father get injured? Who sent people to assassinate me? Shameless. How can you dare say you haven't conspired with the Sea Merchant clan? Ha ha ha. You make it sound really bad. It's not conspiring, it's called cooperating. The meeting room's door got opened and a man in his 30s walked in. He had two middle-aged men behind him who were clearly great heaven masters. Chapter 757, Your Yi Mo. Chapter 757, Your Yi Mo Feng Zhuping? This is the Magical Merchant Association's meeting room. What are you doing here? Yunzi was shocked. However, she immediately understood what was going on. Feng Zhuping was the young master of the Sea Merchant clan. The fact that he was there meant that he had conspired with some of the elders of the Magical Merchant Association and decided to be public about it. Young Master Feng, some people greeted him as soon as he came in. Yunzi saw it clearly. Out of the 9 elders, 7 of them got up and greeted Feng Zhuping as though he was a VIP and not some unwelcomed guest. At the same time, it also meant that only Elder Feng and Elder Mang were still on her side. Feng Zhuping smiled and didn't sat down. He studied Yunzi and said slowly, Yunzi, Goddess Zihua, such a big name, and you look a lot prettier than before. As for why I'm here, I came to do business, of course. Then, Feng Zhuping scanned the 2 elders who didn't greet him with killing intent flashing in his eyes. I'm very sad to hear that something happened to old man Yun. However, Goddess Zihua, we, the Sea Merchant clan, are here to help the Magical Merchant Association. Of course, it's only because I've been in love with you for long. You shit. Don't make me disgusted. Just by looking at your dad's character, I can tell, you think I don't know what you're here for? Piss off. This is the Magical Merchant Association's place, stop acting cocky here. One of the 9 elders got up and spat. Crush this annoying fly for me, Feng Zhuping sneered. One of the middle-aged man behind him had already charged at the man who had just spoken and casually punched him. That elder knew he was going to be attacked, so he took out a sword and fought the middle-aged man back. The man's fist stayed in the same direction. But just as it was about to touch the sword, it drastically changed direction. The fist clashed with the sword, but the sword was shattered by this fist and the elder flew into the wall spitting blood. A few shards of the sword pierced into the elder's body. Yunzi quickly helped the elder get up and said, Elder Feng, are you alright? Then, she placed a pill in Elder Feng's mouth. I'm fine. The elder took the pill and managed to barely stand up. That strike had caused him heavy injuries. The middle-aged man was going to keep attacking, but Feng Zhuping waved his hand. Wu Chang, we'll leave it at that. There is no rush to kill him now. Yes, Wu Chang agreed and then looked at Elder Feng saying coldly, you're a mere half-step great heaven, yet you dare act cocky. You're crossing the line, Feng Zhuping. You and your father Feng Qiu are the same dog breed. Shameless. No wonder your habits are the same as your father's. A woman stood up and pointed at Feng Zhuping in anger. The female elder's words greatly offended Feng Zhuping. She had talked about the taboo subject in his house. Feng Neng's concubine was cheating on him and he found out, so he got people to tie the woman up and sink her into the sea. However, Feng Zhuping was also interested in that concubine and he secretly saved her to be his private sex slave. When word got out, it became the biggest joke. So, He immediately ordered, Wu Bai, kill her. Wait, you can't kill here. The reason I'm still at Chan City is because I'm waiting for Brother Yi. If you dare to kill here, when Brother Yi comes, your sea merchant clan will become history. Yunzi got up. She couldn't allow her only remaining elders to be killed. Ha ha ha. Feng Zhuping laughed. You two are intimate indeed. Is he your F*CK buddy? Looks like Goddess Zihua only puts up a sacred look, but in your bones, you're a SL*T. If you want a man that much, I can satisfy you later. Feng Zhuping suddenly stopped laughing and said coldly, Brother Yi? Even if your ancestor Yi comes, I will still kill whoever I want to kill. Make my sea merchant clan become history? I want to see how it becomes history. But if he comes, I will let you see him become history. Someone answered him, Oh, I'm here all right. I also want to see how you will make me become history. Feng Zhuping just realized that there was an extra person in the room, a very young man. Who are you? When did you come in? Feng Zhuping became careful. He hadn't even seen the man come in. Brother Yi, you're here. Yunzi's joyful and surprised voice sounded. Feng Zhuping's expression sunk. So you're that Yi guy. Yimo smiled, that's right. I just heard you want to make me history, so I came. Feng Zhuping hadn't gone to the magical continent mountain. He had heard news of what happened there, but he didn't know Yimo and didn't know that Brother Yi was Yimo. If he had known Brother Yi was the one who had massacred the magical continent mountain, he would have never come there. Even Len Quan, Ling Wuxure, Chi Kai, or any of them could have annihilated the sea merchant clan, much less the Yimo who had killed them. Feng Zhuping sneered, Wu Chang, cut off his ligaments. I need to observe Brother Yi closely. Yes. Wu Chang answered and charged at Yimo. He just reached his hand to Yimo's neck, assuming that someone this young was at most black level. But before Wu Chang arrived, 4 wind blades flew over. Wu Chang was at heaven level and Yimo didn't intentionally hide his wind blades, so he immediately noticed it and was shook. Without thinking, he wanted to dodge the 4 wind blades. However, what shook him even more was that instead he got held in the air. Of course, Wu Chang knew what this was, an inner chi wall. Slump Wu Chang fell on the ground exactly like how Feng Zhuping had wanted Yimo to be. His ligaments were all cut off. You're Yimo, Wu Chang just said this and he immediately fainted. The meeting room became eerily silent. Feng Zhuping could even hear his heavy breathing. His great heaven master hadn't even touched Yimo and had had his ligaments severed. That Brother Yi was this strong. Not even Yunzi's father was this strong. Feng Zhuping felt his hands go cold. He remembered what Wu Chang had said. He looked up at Yimo and said, You're Yimo? Feng Zhuping just said this subconsciously. He didn't know who Yimo was, but this didn't mean that other people didn't know. Most of the people in the room understood. The weather in May wasn't hot. It was in fact quite cool, but some of the elders started to sweat. Feng Zhuping subconsciously looked at the elders, who were in a daze as well as Wu Bai. He then remembered something. His face went deadly pale as he murmured, You're Yimo. Chapter 758, Magical Merchant Association's Secret. Chapter 758, Magical Merchant Association's Secret. Feng Zhuping could no longer control his horror when he understood who Yimo was. He knelt down in a thud and couldn't speak at all. At this moment, he understood it was completely different seeing people get killed and getting killed yourself. Wu Bai was also shook. Although he was great heaven, Wu Chang was a bit stronger than him. Yet even Wu Chang couldn't last one move with Yimo, so he would definitely lose too. But if he didn't go up, he wouldn't be able to escape from Feng Neng either. When he saw Yimo turn back without looking at him and Feng Zhuping, he thought, I'm going to die either way. I might as well use this opportunity to sneak attack Yimo. Wu Bai pulled out his curved sword and almost hacked the sword on Yimo's back. Just when Wu Bai thought he was going to succeed, Yimo punched out without even turning back. The fist wind happened to land right on Wu Bai's dantian. It destroyed his dantian and qi immediately. Wu Bai fell down on the ground like a leaking balloon. At the same time, his heart went cold. He knew he was over. Although he hadn't died, He was an ordinary person now. I won't kill you, you can bring this young master's head back for me. Yimo's words made Wu Bai shiver. He knew that this was the same as being killed. Yi Qianbei, I didn't think your glorious presence was here. This Wanbei is Magical Merchant Association's elder Chu Yizhu. The Sea Merchant clan has been oppressing us Magical Merchant Association, and I've long since wanted to resist. Since Qianbei is here to uphold justice, Wanbei a monkey-cheeked man walked out and bowed to Yimo. But he was stopped by the other female leader, Chu Yizhu. How are you so shameless? Who just said that the Magical Merchant Association was about to be annihilated? Who just said that the Magical Merchant Association might as well join the Sea Merchant clan? Elder Mang, how could I be someone like that? I've long since disliked this Feng Zhuping. Chu Yizhu argued without even blushing. Then, he went up and kicked Feng Zhuping. Feng Zhuping didn't dare to move. Yimo sneered, he wasn't dumb. When Chu Yizhu walked up to kick Feng Zhuping, he didn't really dare do anything to him. He was just declaring his loyalty to Yimo, yet at that moment, Yimo shot a beam of Kai onto Feng Zhuping's vital points nonetheless. As soon as Chu Yizhu kicked young master Feng Zhuping, the young master fell dead to the ground. This not only shocked Chu Yizhu, but also the rest. They could tell he wasn't trying to kill Feng Zhuping, yet Feng Zhuping had died. This was very strange. No, I didn't want to kill him. Chu Yizhu was shocked and screamed. Yimo was fine if he killed this young master, but Chu Yizhu was done for. The Sea Merchant clan's leader, Feng Neng, was at the Great Heaven Tertiary stage. It would be all too easy for him to kill an Earth-level peak like him. Oh, I thought you couldn't stand the Magical Merchant Association being oppressed, and that's why you did what you did. So that wasn't the case, was it? No matter what, since you were willing to kill this guy, it means you're still siding with the Magical Merchant Association at least, Yimo said. No, I am no. Chu Yizhu didn't know what to do anymore. Yimo ignored Chu Yizhu and looked at Wu Bai. Take these two away, perhaps I might accidentally go for a spin at the Sea Merchant clan later. Wu Bai didn't dare argue at all. Yimo slowly sat down into a chair. He knew Yunzi would deal with the remaining things. As expected, Yunzi immediately said, the elders can go deal with some of the work in the association, it's been piling up recently. I need to discuss some things with Brother Yi. Uncle Tong and Xiao Ling, take Elder Feng to a doctor, and use the best herbs to treat him. No one could tell Yimo had assassinated Feng Zhuping, but Yunzi was suspicious. However, she wouldn't care either way. Although she knew there were a lot of elders on the Sea Merchant clan's side, she couldn't use Yimo to get rid of all of them, because they still managed a lot of matters. Goddess Zihua, you were probably asking for help with this, right? I've already helped you now, and I believe no one would dare to plot against your Magical Merchant Association anymore, but there's something I need to ask you too, Yimo said. Yunzi quickly said, Brother Yi, to be honest, I had been planning on giving up on the Magical Merchant Association. I didn't ask you here for this. Yimo was dazed, so he was wrong. But he didn't care, it was just the lift of a finger after all. He came here because he promised to help her, but more importantly, he came to find out how to get out of here. Mu Xiaoyun was gone, and he had to find her, but he had left Luoyu for 4 years already. Yimo wanted to know how Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue were doing. So as soon as he knew how to leave this continent, he would get the bitter 10 years and leave. Even if he came back again, he would bring Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue with him. Oh, what is it then? Tell me, Yimo said. Yunzi fell silent for a while and then made up her mind. The reason why our Magical Merchant Association was able to become the #1 merchant association in the magical continent is not only due to my father's cultivation level, but also due to a reason no one knows. Yimo knew her father Yun Dongxia was Great Heaven Peak, but he really didn't know what this other reason for their success could be. Yunzi sighed. A slightly bigger sect in the magical continent would have their own merchant association. Even though my father's power is strong, it would at most make people think twice if they wanted to take us on. Our foundation is far weaker than Tai Yi's and Kuan Qian's. The reason why our business has done well is because we can go to the outside world. What? Yimo got up abruptly. He wanted to ask her precisely about this, and here she spoke about it herself. Soon, Yimo calmed down and asked, I thought there was only a chance to go out every 50 years. Even if you forcibly go out, it's every 20 years, right? Yunzi looked at Yimo in surprise and quickly explained, what you mentioned is a secret kept by the big hidden sects. But our Yun family knows a place that allows you to go out once every year. Seeing Yimo's strong interest, Yunzi spoke more carefully. My grandfather discovered the place accidentally, but you need Kai stones to go out. And those who go out have to wait a month before coming back using the same way. Yimo thought it might be a teleportation formation. Yunzi continued, after my grandfather found that place, he didn't find out why it could let us go out. Later on, however, my father researched large amounts of ancient texts before realizing that it might be a teleportation formation. But he wasn't sure either, and it was a too complicated matter, so he stopped his research. Nonetheless, he used that secret to bring in lots of products from the outside, and that's how our Yun family's merchant association got so big. Chapter 759, Way to Get Out. Chapter 759, Way to Get Out. So that was how the Magical Merchant Association began. Yimo admired Yun Dongxia's business brains. Yunzi continued, but we can't take too many things at once using the teleportation formation, and only one person can go out each time. I have always wanted to go out, but father didn't feel it was safe, so he didn't let me go. Each time, it is only a Yun family member that is allowed to go through there. The person also has to be absolutely reliable. Only father, I, and a few elders of the Yun family know. Then, Yunzi looked dejected and said after a long while, for years ago, someone from the Yun family went out but didn't come back when 1 month had passed. All our Yun family people have great self-control. They wouldn't be enticed by the luxurious world outside. My father knew deep down inside that something must have gone wrong, but he would rather believe the person was just held up by someone. Then 3 years ago, the Yun family sent out another person, but 1 month later, he also didn't come back. My father knew something must have happened to the formation, so 2 years ago, he went there himself, but there was no news of him either. He didn't come back after 1 month. Yimo understood now that since these elders and sea merchant clan members knew that Yun Dongxia went missing, they started to scheme for the Magical Merchant Association. But even if the people outside knew about the teleportation formation and started capturing people who went out from it, they wouldn't be able to stop Yun Dongxia. A great heaven peak would slaughter everyone outside. Yixing thought about how he came here 4 years ago. Was it due to the way in which he came here that damaged the formation? Yunzi said despondently, 3 months after my father left, that teleportation formation exploded, and only a pit remained. Yunzi looked up at Yimo and said, Brother Yi, I know you came from the outside, so I want to ask you to help look for my father after you go out. If possible, help my dad come back. I don't have anything that I can give you, I only have my looks. If you don't mind me, I'm willing to be your servant. Then, Yunzi wanted to kneel down in front of Yimo. He quickly stopped her. I want to know how you know I came from the outside. Yimo wasn't interested in having her as his servant. She wasn't his type. Moreover, he had too many women already. Yunzi seemed to know Yimo was going to ask this. She sat down again and said, a few years ago, a big bearded man bought an earth spirit fruit and 2 sets of Kai stones. If I'm not wrong, that person was you, Brother Yi. Before this, you used 500 kilograms of bricks of gold to exchange for gold checks. Those gold bricks were exactly the same shape and weight. Yunzi continued, I know that the technology outside is countless times better than here. Some of the power-generating technology was completely brought from the outside. The bricks are exactly the same, meaning that it was pressed by the same machine. There were also some letters on the bricks, and I know they were English, so I guess these bricks came from the outside. Yimo sighed, Ms. Yun, you're right. I come from the outside. But perhaps you didn't expect one thing. I actually came to you to ask how to leave, yet it seems you don't know either. Yunzi gazed at Yimo in shock and then said after a while, Brother Yi, how did you come in then? Yimo could only tell her how he came in with Jiezun. Hearing this, Yunzi was greatly disappointed. Yimo saw this and said, Ms. Yun, I really do have to go out. Tell me the way the hidden sects go out. Although the formation only weakens every few decades, I can take a look first. If I go out, I will help you find your father. Yunzi heard this and had a little more hope in her eyes. The place they use is Magical Continent Mountain. It has 9 peaks forming a 240-degree fan shape. The middle peak has a huge platform. That's the way out, but it only opens every 50 years, and the time frame it does is 6 hours. It's said that there's a northern 7-spoon star formation that can connect with it. After 3 years, people can come back here through that formation. Yimo asked, is the exit over here also a northern 7-star formation? No, that's only on the outside, the one on the inside isn't, Yunzi replied. Then is there a northern 7-star-like place in here? Yimo had to find the northern 7-star formation. If he didn't, he wouldn't have a way to find the bitter 10 years, and without the bitter 10 years, he couldn't reach Foundation establishment state. Yunzi frowned and then shook her head. No, I've never heard any place in here that has the northern 7-star formation. Yimo sighed. It seemed it would be quite hard to find where the bitter 10 years grew. Yunzi took out a map and gave it to Yimo. This is a map of the magical continent. It isn't absolutely complete, but it has 90% of the places, so hopefully it be of some help to you. Yimo took it and had a look. It was very precise and even had small places like the Huangping village. Yimo put the map away and said, thank you, it will be useful to me indeed. Well then, I'm going to find Xiaoyun, and I still have some other business. If I have a way to go out, I will come find you. Yunzi knew that Yimo was going to go, so she quickly opened a wooden box next to her and took out a bag and a photo. This is my father's photo. And there are 20 Kai stones inside here. They're useless to me now, but I hope you can take them. Yimo took everything without any refusal. This was not only useful for his cultivation, but also for the portal. Yimo of course wouldn't take it for free though, so he gave her 4 jade bottles saying, there are 4 pills inside of these. I've marked them all. The essence increasing pill can allow you to reach Earth level 100%, the Great Essence Kai increasing pill can make you reach heaven level, oh wait, I mean Great Heaven. This face preserving pill can preserve your face forever. This Lotus Life pill can cure any injuries. Thank you for your Kai stones. Yunzi took these pills and was shocked. Any one of them could make countless people fight for it, yet Yimo gave her 4. He was too generous. Yimo said again, oh and by the way, I have something else I need your help with which is very important. Chapter 760, Sea Merchant Clan Leader. Chapter 760, Sea Merchant Clan Leader. When Yunzi woke up from her shock, her hands were still shaking. This was Great Heaven, the goal that countless Earth-level peak cultivators could never reach in their lifetime, and it was in her hands. That face-preserving pill too, she almost couldn't believe it. If it was someone else other than Yimo, she would laugh at them, but this was Yimo. He was a powerful master who surpassed all Great Heavens and a high-level herbal doctor too. If Yimo's pills weren't that strong, how could he beat all the Great Heaven peak masters? Yimo knew Yunzi was a bit excited. Before she could reply, he took a few more bottles of pills and gave them to her. There's a few more pills here, please sell them for me. Yunzi took the pills and said shakily, of course, you wanted me to help with that. Yimo smiled. Of course not. He took out a booklet from his ring and gave it to her. Help me collect the things in here. There are some herbs and ores there, gather whatever you can. I will buy it all. If I don't have enough, pay for me and then I'll pay it back when I return. Yunzi took the booklet and had a flick through it. It was all precious herbs inside, there were many that she hadn't even heard of. Yunzi was still in a daze even after Yimo left. Magical Continent Mountain, it was the second time Yimo came here. He had come to check the peak that led to the outside world. It had been many days since the battle and the bodies left behind were all cleaned up with nothing but blood marks to still prove there was once a great battle there. Yimo easily found the middle peak, and it was just like Yunzi said. It had a huge platform indeed. This was a 7-star formation, meaning that the formation here was related to 7 of the 9 peaks, and it resonated with the 7-star formation outside. However, there was no Kai coming out of the formation at all. With Yimo's current power, He wasn't able to activate the formation and leave. If it were the one on the outside, he could try to use the method with 7 spirit stones, because the formation outside was loosened greatly, but the formation here was so complicated that he couldn't even find the eye of the formation. Even if he found it and put down spirit stones, Yimo knew that it wouldn't run on low-grade spirit stones. It would need at least top-grade spirit stones. He didn't even have any middle-grade spirit stones, much less top-grade spirit stones. The reason why the people from the continent could go outside every 50 years was because that was when the formation loosened and all the masters used their chi to open one spot of the 7 stars. Yimo checked the place out for a long time but had to leave in disappointment. He couldn't use his power to open the formation, and he was sure that the bitter 10 years wasn't there. It was pointless to stay there. Perhaps he could try if he found top-grade spirit stones one day. But no matter what, Yimo had decided to also study formations henceforth. If he understood all of it, he could come in and out whenever he wanted. Luckily, the 3-birth chant was very helpful to him for learning new things. Perhaps he might be able to form his own style just like with pill-making. Yimo also needed to look at that exploded formation and find Mu Xiaoyun. He also wanted to go to Shifeng village to fulfill Luo Yin's wish. Of course, if he could find Jie Zun, he wouldn't mind killing her. The magical continent was a place ruled by the hidden sects. The strong ruled it, and the weak had to rely on the strong to live. There were many cities, and each city had a hidden sect controlling it from behind the scenes. The city lords had responsibility only towards the hidden sects. The main way for the cities to communicate was through merchant associations and merchants. The best career paths were to go to the hidden sects and then slightly below that to do business. Although hidden sects controlled the cities, in order to get more support, they would also have their own merchant associations. These associations would bring them large sums of money and cultivation resources as well as intel. Ever since the Magical Merchant Association declined, the Sea Merchant clan took over, quickly invading the Magical Merchant Association's land and most of their business. This time, Feng Zhuping had gone to Chan City to take over the Magical Merchant Association. The reason why Feng Neng dared to do this was because he was at the Great Heaven Tertiary stage now. He believed that after he devoured the Magical Merchant Association, he would be able to reach Great Heaven Peak within 2 years. If he did, then everything would be fine. His clan had 3 Great Heaven Masters, the Wu brothers and a manager called Fang Quan. There was also a guy called Li Pei who had secretly joined him. Although there were a few half-step Great Heaven cultivators too, Feng Neng knew that out of 100 half-step Great Heaven cultivators, maybe only 5 could reach Great Heaven, and at most 1 could reach Great Heaven Tertiary stage. 1 in 10 Great Heaven Tertiary stages could reach Great Heaven Peak. So he felt very safe with his son going there with the Wu brothers. Feng Neng thought about the bright future he had and couldn't help but be excited. He grabbed a maid next to him and was about to tear open her clothes. But sometimes, things can't keep going as planned all the time. He was interrupted by his men's report. Chapter 761. Have some sense. Chapter 761. Have some sense what's wrong? Feng Neng's expression sunk. He extremely disliked being interrupted. The man said shakily, "Leader, Elder Wu Bai brought back the young master and Elder Wu Chang." The moment Feng Neng heard that his son was back, he knew that the deal at Chan City had been sealed. He was quite happy that his son had got it done so quickly. He just nodded and pulled the maid aside. In that case, let the 3 of them come inside. Suddenly, Feng Neng thought of something and immediately slammed the table. "Next time you say something wrong, you'll get beaten to death." He remembered the words, "Wu Bai brought back the young master and Wu Chang," not "the young master brought back Wu Chang and Wu Bai." No, I didn't say it wrong. It's Elder Wu Bai who brought the man was dumb and still hadn't understood why the leader was angry. Feng Neng sneered and got unhappier. He couldn't be bothered to keep listening, so he grabbed a cup and threw it at the man's forehead. The cup didn't shatter, but instead it embedded this man's head. The man looked at Feng Neng in shock. Even at death's door he couldn't understand why the leader killed him. Was it because he had bothered him in his good moment? But he had been reporting something important. Before Feng Neng could be dragged out, another horse-faced man walked in desperately. Feng Neng frowned. That man was his right hand and secretary, Fang Quan. His status was above the Wu brothers and he was also at Great Heaven. Fang Quan was Feng Neng's closest man and had followed him for the longest. When Fang Quan was just at Earth level, he was so bold that he dared rape the daughter of a city lord. He was hunted by this city lord, but Feng Neng saved him. Fang Quan followed him and when he reached Great Heaven, he killed that city lord's entire family. So, although Fang Quan had come in at this time and Feng Neng was unhappy, he didn't say anything. Fang Quan didn't even look at the dead man on the ground. Instead he said worriedly, "Big brother, young master La Ping was killed in Chan City. Wei Chang died from losing too much blood after his ligaments were cut off. Only Wu Bai came back, but his powers have been destroyed." What? Feng Neng heard this and his face changed drastically. He got up immediately, as veins popped out on his forehead. He only had one son and he really was his jewel. Even though La Ping had secretly saved his concubine, he could pretend nothing happened. However now, his son had been killed and his powerful underlings, the Wu brothers, had also been destroyed. Who did this? Who? Arg. Feng Neng was about to go crazy. He smashed the table in front of him into pieces. The two maids next to him shivered and hid on the side, fearing that their terrible master would kill them. Leader, Wu Bai was useless. Please punish me. Wu Bai had just walked inside and seen the furious leader. He knelt down immediately. The bodies of Feng Leiping and Wu Chang were carried inside by 4 men behind him. Feng Neng's face turned pale grey. He walked to his son's body and saw a terrified face. Feng Neng clenched his fists. He was thinking about how to torture his enemy then. No one in the room dared to breathe loudly or talk. Feng Neng could kill anyone when he raged. After a long while, Feng Neng calmed down slowly and sat back on the seat. He then said coldly, "Wu Bai, tell me what happened." "Yes, leader." Wu Bai took a deep breath. He realized that the young master had died under his care, so no matter what, the consequences wouldn't be good. Yet, he still needed to report what had happened. "After we got to Chan City, we contacted the elders who had joined us. Wu Bai was interrupted by Feng Neng. He looked coldly at Wu Bai. "Get to the point, save the useless shishit." "Yes." Wu Bai felt defeated. Even though he was at Great Heaven, he was at most a dog to Feng Neng. Now that he had lost all of his powers, he was probably worse than a dog. Before this, Feng Neng had always been very polite to him and his brother. Also, Wu Bai was feeling dejected, because Feng Neng hadn't told him to stand up, but he didn't want to keep kneeling. He got up and said in a calm tone, "It was an elder from the Magical Merchant Association who killed the young master. His name is Chu Yizhu, a half-step Great Heaven martial artist." Feng Neng cursed coldly. Chu Yizhu, a mere half-step Great Heaven man, dared to kill the young master of the sea merchant clan. How dare he? I won't stop until I slice off his flesh and feed it to the dogs. Wu Bai sneered to himself but said calmly, "At the time, Chu Yizhu kicked the young master. He didn't have any killing intent, but the young master died. I suspect that the real killer is not Chu Yizhu, but Yimo. Who's Yimo?" Feng Neng couldn't react yet. Wu Bai said calmly, "Yimo is the person who is helping the Magical Merchant Association. He killed my brother as soon as he came in and then young master knelt down for mercy. Chu Yizhu was a spy of ours, but when he saw Yimo enter, he kicked the young master to suck up to Yimo. No matter who he is, I will let him have a taste of a pleasurable death." Feng Neng couldn't control his rage. "That Yimo told me to tell you to have some sense, leader, because he might accidentally pass by here," Wu Bai added. "Ha ha ha. Have some sense." Feng Neng laughed. Fang Quan looked strangely at Wu Bai. He knew Wu Bai wasn't the talkative type, but he seemed to be talking too much today. "Yimo." Fang Quan suddenly thought of someone. A few days ago, a man had killed countless masters at the magical continent mountain. Great Heaven martial artists were like little chickens to him. Then, he had continued and annihilated many hidden sects, including Tai. What made people fear him the most was that he had annihilated more than 10 sects in one day. These sects were very far apart from each other. It would take days by cart, but Yimo had done it all in one day. No one knew how Yimo had gone to this many places in such a short time. Everyone knew this, but no one dared to talk about it. Thinking about this, Fang Quan shivered. He was sure that the Yimo Wu Bai was talking about was this person. Who else could it be? Fang Quan, prepare the things and come with me to Chan City. I really want to see who this cocky bastard is. That I should have some sense. He better have the balls not to leave Chan City. And about that goddess Zihua, if I don't *CK her to death, I don't deserve to be the leader of the sea merchant clan. Feng Neng's face was hideous. After having understood who Yimo was, Fang Quan wasn't going to let Feng Neng kill himself. He quickly said, Big brother, that Yimo is probably the person who slaughtered the great heaven masters at the magical continent mountain, and the one who annihilated Tai Yi and many other sects so rapidly. Feng Neng was like an angry chicken who suddenly got choked, as he stopped showing his anger unexpectedly. Wu Bai looked at his reaction with satisfaction. Chapter 762, Beautiful Woman Trick. Chapter 762, Beautiful Woman Trick. Feng Neng didn't think it would be the one name that could make him not dare to show his anger. He fell silent. He went from extreme fury to extreme calmth. He could yell at the top of his lungs about killing other people, but when it came to Yimo, not only did he not dare do so, he also had to go apologize. Who was Yimo? He had easily killed Len Quan and Ling Wuxue while being attacked by countless great heaven masters. Meanwhile, he would be just a piece of cake to Len Quan or Ling Wuxue. Feng Neng was furious, but he didn't dare to show this anger. Perhaps if he foolishly made the order to hunt Yimo, the next moment, his clan would become history. Yimo might really come for a spin to the sea merchant clan. But no matter how strong Yimo was, could he really just let go of Yimo killing his only son? Fang Quan could tell how Feng Neng was feeling. He sent the rest of the people in the room off and then said, Big brother, what do you plan on doing? Feng Neng put down his hands dejectedly and said, What can I do? It will be my luck if that slaughter god doesn't come annihilate our clan. If I tried to get revenge from him, it'd be like asking to die. But I really don't want to let it go like this either. Fang Quan smiled. Big brother, tell me the truth, do you want revenge? Feng Neng said with a defeated face, he killed my only son, how can I not want revenge? But even if I want it, revenge is only possible if you're capable. I heard that Qi Yushin wanted to get revenge for his son but didn't even last a single move against Yimo. Perhaps what I should be thinking about now is how to save the clan. Fang Quan, think of a way to give a pricey gift to the Magical Merchant Association. Sigh. Fang Quan nodded, yes, we must send this gift, but it's not impossible if Big Brother wants revenge. Feng Neng immediately got up and grabbed Fang Quan's hand excitedly. Brother, what way do you have to get revenge? Quick, tell me. Fang Quan patted Feng Neng's hand. Big brother, who do you think is prettier, Goddess Zihua or Jimai? Feng Neng immediately thought of Jimai, her moon-like face and crescent moon-like brows. Her white jade-like skin. He almost forgot about revenge as he thought about her, there was only her appearance in his head. After a long while, he woke up and sighed, although Goddess Zihua is a beauty, she's still a little worse off than Jimai. Brother, what does this have to do with Jimai? Big brother, if you really want to get revenge, you will have to give her to Yimo, Fang Quan said. What? Feng Neng was shook. He only got Jimai a year ago. When she was roaming the streets and was about to be sold, Feng Neng saw her and immediately fell in love with her. Because he loved her so much, he didn't go against her will and do anything like raping her. He agreed to do things after they were married half a year later. This was his woman, such a beauty, how could he give her to his enemy? No way. No, that's impossible. Feng Neng rejected it. Fang Quan sighed. Although he had some small calculations, his loyalty towards Feng Neng was mostly genuine. He felt like something was up with Jimai. With his experience, he knew that she was not the weak-looking girl she seemed. He had tested her countless times, but had never found anything, though. If they could kill Yimo and send her away at the same time, it would be killing two birds with one stone. But Fang Quan knew that Feng Neng wouldn't listen to his opinion of Ji Mai. He coughed. Big brother, why do you think Yi Mo is helping the Magical Merchant Association? Feng Neng shook his head. He really didn't know. Fang Quan said, I understand this man. Everyone knows he is really powerful, but he has a special characteristic. He is extremely lustful. Big brother, the reason why the events of Magical Continent Mountain happened was all because of a woman called Mu Xiaoyun. Yi Mo slaughtered for her. Fang Quan then continued, Mu Xiaoyun was already with Yi Mo, but Tai Yi wanted her, so the battle occurred because of it. As for why Yi Mo is helping the Magical Merchant Association, it's also because Yun Zi is a very beautiful woman. She probably gave her body to Yi Mo for him to help them. Feng Neng sighed, but that doesn't mean he will like all beautiful women 100%. And can't we just give him a pretty one? Fang Quan knew that Feng Neng didn't want to let go of Ji Mai, so he sighed. With Yi Mo's standards, he wouldn't even consider ordinary women. Mu Xiaoyun and Yun Zi are extreme beauties, so if we want to entice him, I can't think of anyone other than Ji Mai. Fang Quan then said also, Yi Mo annihilated countless sects, even Tai Yi and Kuan Qian couldn't avoid it, so how come Ci Hangjing Mosque was fine? I heard that Jie Zun was even the worst of enemies with Yi Mo. Later I found out that it was because a few nuns from there had had a few affairs with Yi Mo. Yi Mo might be very lustful, but he protects the women he loves. If Ji Mai can seduce Yi Mo, how can we not have a chance to kill Yi Mo? Also, after we kill Yi Mo, Ji Mai will still be yours. Feng Neng thought for a long time before sighing, okay, we'll do as you say. But Yi Mo is such a master, it'll be hard to ambush him. Fang Quan saw that Feng Neng agreed and breathed easy. He replied, Big brother, don't worry, leave this to me. As long as Yi Mo is seduced by Ji Mai, we will succeed 100%. Feng Neng agreed and immediately said, immediately investigate where that Yi Mo is and arrange Ji Mai to be sent over. Hang Shui City. Yi Mo stood in front of this prosperous city and was lost in thought. A few years ago, he had come there with Xiaoyun, but now, he was by himself. He had searched countless cities and mountain ranges in this past month, had found many herbs, but still wasn't able to find Mu Xiaoyun. Yi Mo walked around Hang Shui City in the day and went to Hang Shui Square. At night, he went back to the Blue Sea Hotel. He had stayed with Mu Xiaoyun there before. Chapter 763. Intervene when things aren't right. Chapter 763. Intervene when things aren't right. What? Yi Mo is already in Hang Shui? Feng Neng looked at Fang Quan in disbelief. The boat to the mortal side had left 10 days ago and it was still on the sea. How could Yi Mo be in Hang Shui already? Could he fly? Fang Quan nodded, but his expression was very strange too. He said after thinking for a while, Big brother, he was able to annihilate many sects in one day. How did he do it? I thought he had a flying pet, but now it seems like he can fly himself. Can he really fly? Feng Neng was more shocked than Fang Quan. He was at Great Heaven Tertiary stage and knew how hard it was to fly. He had heard that not even those who surpassed Great Heaven could fly. They could at most glide in the air, but the distance wouldn't be more than a few kilometers. Feng Neng soon knew what Fang Quan meant. He looked excitedly at Fang Quan. Fang Quan nodded, Big brother, once we have him in our hands, we should just disable him first. If I'm not wrong, there's a heavenly shocking secret about Yi Mo. He's less than 30 years old, but he can already easily slaughter Great Heaven Masters and he can fly. From this, we can tell that he's definitely not cultivating ancient martial arts. Feng Neng took a long breath. This was the answer he wanted to hear. He feared Yi Mo a lot before, but now he could put all of those thoughts aside. If he really attained Yi Mo's cultivation method, what would he become? Couldn't he dominate the hidden sect's world or even the entire magical continent? Feng Neng didn't dare to keep thinking. But Fang Quan continued, however, I'm sure that I'm not the only one who noticed this. Elder Feng from Ice Lake must have noticed this too. With her wits and selfishness, no matter what kind of disciple Mu Xiaoyun was, there was no way she would openly stand against the entire hidden sects just to save Mu Xiaoyun. Yet, she did. Brother Fang, what do you mean? Feng Neng looked excitedly at Fang Quan. Fang Quan sneered, "Big brother, I'm sure that Elder Feng realized that Yi Mo doesn't cultivate ancient martial arts, so she guessed that Mu Xiaoyun must have been cultivating what Yi Mo taught her. Therefore, she took Mu Xiaoyun away to get it from her. The reason why Yi Mo still hasn't found Mu Xiaoyun is probably because she has either been hidden or killed by Elder Feng. Big brother, you can't win if you don't take risk. Moreover, we have Ji Mai. We can easily attain this wealth, so we can't give up. That's why I would like to propose to Big Brother to send Ji Mai to hang Shui with Blue Condor," Fang Quan said. Feng Neng didn't hesitate this time and nodded, "We have a resting tower in the sea. Blue Condor should be able to arrive in the other side in 1 day's time. But we also need to go to hang Shui immediately. I think that Yi Mo might have gotten his hands on something that was passed down from ancient times. He's really lucky to be able to obtain such a cultivation method." Fang Quan smiled, "Big brother, no matter how many cultivation methods he got, everything will be ours in the end." Yi Mo stayed in the hotel for 3 days. On the 4th day, Yi Mo was prepared to leave Hang Shui. It was pointless to stay there anymore. Just when Yi Mo got to the door of the hotel, he saw a vicious man chasing a woman in rough clothes. The man had a bamboo whip and cursed as he chased, "Bitch, how dare you run?" Then, he whipped the woman, and the woman howled in pain and happened to fall at the door of the hotel. Yet no one dared to stop the man. Yi Mo frowned. He saw that although the woman had hair and dirt covering her face, she was extremely beautiful. The man came to the woman and was about to whip her again. Just when Yi Mo wanted to ask what was going on, a man in a blue shirt walked out and stopped the man. "Friend, why are you so cruel to a weak woman?" The man stopped and looked at the man in a blue shirt and said coldly, "I'm beating a woman I bought, what's that got to do with you? Move aside or I will beat you too." The man in a blue shirt smiled faintly. No one saw how he did it, but they suddenly realized that the bamboo whip had fallen in his hands and with a rub, the bamboo whip turned into dust. Everyone was shook. This man was at least at the earth level to be able to do this. The man also seemed to be shocked by the man in a blue shirt's power. He was dazed before saying, "Just because you're strong you're going to rob me of my possession?" The blue shirt man sneered, "She's clearly a human, yet you call her your possession. How much money did you spend on her?" 50. "No, I didn't spend gold coins." The man looked worriedly at the man in a blue shirt. The man in a blue shirt threw 5 gold coins to the man and said, "Take the gold coins and piss off. If you dare breathe in front of me for 1 more second, don't blame me." The man was stunned by the man in a blue shirt's killing intent and quickly ran off with the money. People around laughed and left. At this moment, the woman crawled up and bowed to the man in a blue shirt before saying, "Ji Mai thanks you for saving her life." Her voice was crisp, but her tone was melancholic. Almost everyone who heard her cried out of sympathy. Ji Mai didn't expect that she would be saved by this man. Things hadn't gone according to the script. Yi Mo saw this woman and thought of Mu Xiaoyun even more. When he first met Mu Xiaoyun, she was also like this. Yi Mo shook his head and walked out of the hotel. Ji Mai seemed very weak and didn't have the power to stand after saying 1 sentence. Yi Mo walked to the door and the way Ji Mai fell happened to be in his direction. A faint aroma entered his nose. Yi Mo frowned and retreated a step while hooking Ji Mai with his leg. Ji Mai quickly got up and said worriedly to Yi Mo, "Big brother, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean it, thank you, Yi Mo looked more carefully at her this time and couldn't help but truly be shocked at her beauty. She was even a bit more enticing than Mu Xiaoyun. She had that natural feeble feeling. Her eyes looked down, but they were very seductive. The coarse clothes she had couldn't cover her out-of-this-world beauty. The messy hair added a sense of worry-inducing beauty to her. Her butt was also very perky. This woman was only worth 50 gold coins. Yi Mo was shocked. Ji Mai was surprised. She intentionally let Yi Mo see her face, but she only saw some shock in his eyes. He didn't try to chat her up with lustful intent as she expected. Chapter 764, Made Ji Mai. Chapter 764, Made Ji Mai. That blue-shirted man walked up to Yi Mo and saluted him with his fist. "Friend, you are talented. I'm Fu Wu, if you don't mind, let's go have a drink. Just then, Yi Mo had moved his leg really quickly and smoothly. With the blue-shirted man's quick eyes, he could tell Yi Mo was no ordinary man. As for why Yi Mo had taken a step back, he believed that Yi Mo was a gentleman and didn't want to take advantage of a weak woman. Yi Mo was planning to go have a look around Huangping village, but Fu Wu reminded him of Liu Lei. Okay, I'm Yi Mo. Since Brother Fu has the time, let's go get a drink then. Yi Mo nodded casually. When Yi Mo and Fu Wu walked out of the hotel, that woman who had gotten saved also followed them. Fu Wu turned around and looked at her strangely. Girl, you can go wherever you want now. I've already given that guy money, I don't think he will dare do anything to you again. Ji Mai's eyes turned red and she said weakly, Ji Mai has no home to go to. Even if I leave Brother Fu, I will still end up getting caught and sold again. If you don't mind me, I'm willing to be your maid. This Fu Wu looked at her with a troubled face. His goal was to travel across the entire magical continent. However, when traveling while cultivating, it wasn't convenient to bring a woman. Seeing Fu Wu's expression, Yi Mo approved him. No matter what, Ji Mai was an extremely beautiful woman, there was no way a man wouldn't be interested in her. He had Luo Ying, Ning Qingxue and Mu Xiaoyun, so he didn't have any intentions with Ji Wei, but Fu Wu wasn't enticed at all either. From this, one could tell that Fu Wu was a strong-minded person. Brother Fu, Ji Mai saw Fu Wu's hesitation and immediately looked worried. She also stared at Yi Mo, as if hoping Yi Mo could help her say something or he could take her with him. Yi Mo didn't say anything. Fu Wu would have to make his own decision on that matter for sure. Fu Wu thought for a while and said, how about this? Ji Mai, come and eat with us first and then we'll talk about other things. Yes, Brother Fu, Brother Yi. Ji Mai followed them obediently. The three of them went into a nearby restaurant. Although Fu Wu had ordered a dishes that covered the whole table, no matter what Fu Wu said, Ji Mai just stood on the side feebly. She didn't dare to sit down, instead she was helping them pour wine. Fu Wu sighed. He thought that Ji Mai had probably grown up serving people, that's why she behaved like this. Due to Ji Mai, the two men didn't have the best time. About Fu Wu, Yi Mo found out that he had been traveling around everywhere. Fu Wu was a very upright and honest person. He didn't hide anything since it was the first time he saw Yi Mo. He said that the reason he could reach Earth-level tertiary stage before the age of 40 was completely due to discovering some valuable herbs among his journey. Quite obviously, he didn't know about what Yi Mo has done at the inner hidden sects. After the meal, Yi Mo was planning to leave but Fu Wu pulled his arm. Brother Yi, you know I'm someone who travels around everywhere. I might have a meal this time, but not a meal the next time. Ji Mai would suffer a lot if she follows me. How about letting Ji Mai follow you? Although she didn't come from a good family, I can tell she's a good girl. Then, Fu Wu turned around to Ji Mai and asked, Ji Mai, would you be willing to follow Brother Yi Mo? Yi Mo smiled. He wanted to reject it but Ji Mai replied before him, Brother Fu, you saved my life. I will follow whoever you tell me to follow. Then, Ji Mai walked up to Yi Mo and bowed, Brother Yi, you will be Ji Mai's master from now on. Ji Mai will do anything you ask. Fu Wu laughed at this. He was very happy with the outcome. Yi Mo felt something was wrong. Ji Mai had agreed to follow him too quickly. But before Yi Mo could say anything, Fu Wu said, Brother Yi, Ji Mai looks like a very gentle and placid girl, don't reject her anymore. Ji Mai is right. In our current society, it will be very hard for her to survive without someone looking after her. She would eventually become someone's toy. Brother Yi, I will be very obedient. Please, don't leave me behind. Ji Mai's tone was melancholic. Yi Mo sighed. He knew Fu Wu was right. However, it was indeed not convenient to take her with him. Yi Mo subconsciously looked at Ji Mai and scanned her with his spirit sense. Suddenly, Yi Mo noticed something was wrong. When he had first seen her, her face and hair were covered with dust. But when he scanned her with his spirit sense, he noticed that the dust was only on the surface. Her hair was very clean on the inside. There wasn't even a speck of dandruff, much less dust. Considering how she had happened to fall on him at the hotel, Yi Mo was suspicious. Yimo didn't restrain himself anymore and scanned his spirit sense inside her body. Her skin was snow-white and clean. Yimo was suddenly shook and immediately took back his spirit sense. He was astonished. Jimai was a cultivator and someone much more powerful than him. She was at least at Kai Gathering Peak. He didn't know if Jimai had noticed his spirit sense, but he was sure that she was scheming something. Yimo could also tell that she was injured and had lost all her power. That was probably why she couldn't let out her spirit sense, but Yimo didn't dare to scan her anymore. That woman was scary. Yimo realized that if he hadn't been cultivating the 3-birth chant and his spirit sense didn't exceeded Kai Gathering Peaks, he might have not been able to notice all this. Brother Yi, what do you think? Fu Wu asked. Hearing this, Yimo wondered if Fu Wu was also a part of her plan. However, Yimo quickly denied that thought. Fu Wu seemed very genuine and probably he had just happened to get caught up to this. Yimo wasn't scared of her. Even if she recovered her power and was at Kai Gathering Peak, he could still subjugate her. What worried Yimo was who had taught her all this. Yimo had to find out was who this master was and why he had used a woman without any power left to get close to him. Thinking about this, Yimo laughed. Since Brother Fu doesn't want such a pretty woman, then I won't hold back. Jimai, you can follow me from now on. Yes, thank you, Master. Thank you, Brother Fu. Jimai's eyes were full of joy. Yimo noticed that as soon as Jimai looked down, there was contempt and jeer in her eyes too. After bidding Fu Wu farewell, Yimo rented a cart with Jimai. Yimo decided to go to Gan Tong City first. Jimai had explained that she was the young miss of a big family, but her family had gotten killed by enemies. Hence, she fled, but she had gotten caught by that man. She didn't want to stay with him, so she ran away. Yimo didn't believe a word she said. Chapter 765, Fearsome Master. Chapter 765, Fearsome Master. As though knowing that Yimo didn't like to talk much, Jimai didn't say much either and just served Yimo obediently. What made her feel strange was that someone as lustful as Yimo didn't ask her to sleep with him. Shilin Town was a small town near Gan Tong City. Yimo arrived there after riding a cart for a week. It was just noon now. What made Jimai feel strange again was that Yimo for the first time wasn't in a rush to continue traveling, and instead he stopped at the town and asked for 2 rooms at a hotel. No matter what Yimo did, Jimai wouldn't ask questions. It was as though she really was a maid. Jimai, I need to cultivate till night, so don't disturb me and don't let anyone disturb me, Yimo closed the door and said. He noticed that wherever he stopped, there always seemed to be someone watching their cart. Yimo could tell that it wasn't Jimai wanting to look for trouble with him, but the person behind her. Jimai's powers were all lost, so perhaps she was being controlled by the people behind her. Someone who could abolish the power of a peak stage Kai Gathering cultivator must be at least at the foundation establishment state. Yes, Maest, Jimai agreed. Yimo nodded and went into the room, closing the door. He was sure that Jimai had lost her powers and couldn't use any spirit sense, but just in case, he still set up a spirit sense blocking formation. Yimo watched Jimai with his spirit sense and noticed her just dazing in her room, so he didn't bother with her any longer. He took a great Kai increasing pill and started digesting the pill. He knew she was at least a Kai Gathering peak cultivator, so he was all the more urgently trying to increase his cultivation. When Yimo opened his eyes again, he noticed it was dark. He scanned his spirit sense into the room next door and found Jimai cooking something. Yimo looked at the herbs and noticed that what she was cooking could make people lose their inner chi for some time when inhaled. Was she planning to use that against him? Yimo sneered. That would only make his Kai a little weaker even if he ate it. At midnight, when Yimo digested the second great Kai increasing pill, 2 people appeared in her room. He had never seen the 2 before, but Yimo scanned with his spirit sense and knew that one was at the Great Heaven tertiary stage and another at the Great Heaven primary stage. Yimo noticed that the things Jimai had been cooked had been made into incense, and it was burning. Yimo stood up in shock. He didn't expect that Jimai would have made that to deal with the 2 Great Heaven fellows. Yimo also noticed a big blue condor by the room. Did those 2 ride that here? Yimo took away the formation and neared the wall. He wanted to hear what the relationship between these three was. "Ji Mai, what incense is this?" As Feng Neng smelled it, he asked. Ji Mai blushed and bowed to the two, saying quietly, "It's an aphrodisiac incense. I bought it in the town. This Yi Mo only walks by my room each time, and he has never shown any intent on staying with me at all, so I bought this, but he still hasn't come." Ji Mai suddenly thought of something and said desperately, Brother Feng, Brother Fang, I'll quickly get rid of it." "I see, you still haven't done it, but how could Yi Mo resist it?" Feng Neng looked at Ji Mai's ruddy face as he voiced his surprise. He suddenly stopped Ji Mai from talking. "Ji Mai, since you lit it up, there's no need to put it off. Brother Fang, how about you go out for a bit? I need to talk to Ji Mai." Fang Quan's face changed. He knew what Feng Neng meant. He sighed. He felt that this leader of his couldn't control himself sometimes and wasn't someone who could achieve big things. Since he gave Ji Mai to Yi Mo, don't take her body all of a sudden. But Fang Quan knew it wasn't good to stop Feng Neng now. He turned to leave, but suddenly, Ji Mai called out, "Brother Fang." Fang Quan turned around and looked at her in confusion. "What is it?" Ji Mai bit her lips as though there was something she couldn't say. It was as though she liked Fang Quan and not Feng Neng. The scene fell silent. After a long while, Feng Neng's face looked unhappy. "Ji Mai, what do you have to say?" Suddenly, Fang Quan's face changed, and he said desperately, "Wait, this isn't aphrodisiac incense. Why was Ji Mai tricking them?" Fang Quan wanted to disintegrate it immediately, but when he palmed towards it, he found that he already couldn't use any inner qi. Fang Quan's face changed immediately. This was an incense that made people lose their inner qi. Just when Fang Quan was about to flee the room, a dagger flew from Ji Mai's hand into his chest. Feng Neng immediately knew what was going on too, and his face went pale. "Ji Mai, you wanted to use this incense against Yi Mo, right? You're really smart. This is much better than some poison. Now give me the antidote quickly." Feng Neng's face was pale, but he knew that since Ji Mai had killed Fang Quan, he wouldn't be able to survive either. Ji Mai smiled suddenly. "Oh no, I lit up the wrong incense, but I don't have the antidote. Brother Feng, what do you think I should do?" Then, Ji Mai walked up to Fang Quan and pulled out the dagger before slowly walking to Feng Neng. "Ji Mai, what are you doing? I brought you back from Xinjiao Mountain, and I truly loved you," Feng Neng uttered. Yi Mo heard this and thought, "Xinjiao Mountain? Ji Mai cursed, you really love me? You shameless old geezer, you kept trying to take advantage of me and wanted me to give up my body for the survival of your sea merchant clan. You brought me back from Xinjiao Mountain? Feng Neng, I'll be honest with you, that thing from Xinjiao Mountain belonged to me, yet you took it and wanted to rape me. Finally I get to kill you today." "Ji Mai, you were injured, didn't I really save you?" Feng Neng's tone was shaky. Ji Mai sneered, "I was injured. Feng Neng, you almost made me die. If I don't repay you, I don't deserve to be a human. I was going to use that thing to reach the golden core state, but you made me almost die." Yi Mo's heart sunk. Golden core? Was this woman a peak foundation establishment state master? If she really was, then he had to kill her before she recovered her power. But before he could do anything, Ji Mai took out a box from Feng Neng's pocket and rapidly tipped it over into her mouth. Purple snow seed? Yi Mo's heart went cold. He knew he had missed his chance. Purple snow seed was a top-grade healing spirit herb. It had a very rapid effect. It would be too late to go kill her now that she had eaten it. Yi Mo reined his spirit sense back in and knew that if he kept watching her with his spirit sense, she might notice it. But Yi Mo felt something was wrong. Although he was stage 7, his spirit sense was very strong, and he was cultivating the 3-birth chant. He shouldn't have seen wrong. How could Ji Mai go from Kai Gathering Peak to Foundation Establishment State Peak? This was too strange. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.